All right, so we're good to go. So usually, Holden's here, and he has a way that he likes to start things out. Like I always like to cut him off regardless, right? But why don't you start off by telling the people who you are, who you're known as, right? Where you are from, and where your parents are from.
All right, yeah. I'm Reverse Live. Wait, what was the series of questions? It's who I am,
Who you
what I'm
are,
known as.
who you're known as, right? Like I never give my real name. Like yo, the homies get on here, but some of y'all like when I first got on super segue real quick. When I first got on Facebook after like
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
first started blowing up, after we were already on rapmusic.com every day for
yeah.
battle rap purposes and shit, and I got on Facebook and I started seeing like Nicholas
You're
Carletti
like, who the fuck
Hines
is
and
that?
like
Yeah.
Cody Sepulveda. I'm like, who are you guys? Why are you telling people your real name? Nobody knows you by your real name, fam. I know you
Yo.
as Lush One. I am on Facebook looking for Lush One, sir. I don't even know how to look for Nick. What? What? You got me lost right now. So when I first got on, and I noticed that it was mostly y'all because when I looked at the East Coast homies like Swave Seva, Poison Pen, Sarah Connor, all of us were like we were
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Facebook with like our rap name is our Facebook name. Like this is my name. Like you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
all of y'all had your legal
That's
names, and
straight
I'd be like,
Gubby.
"Woo!"
Yeah.
Just giving out your governments to
For some,
people.
you know what? For some reason, I thought like I don't know if this is like everyone else, but I thought you like had to use your government name. But now, like later on, now knowing how the internet works, like they wouldn't have fucking known. You know what I'm saying?
They
Like
would not have
yeah,
known.
that's what I'm saying. But back then, I was like, yo,
People
I
do that to this
gotta put my
day.
real name.
I'll call an Uber for people at work and shit, and I'm like I'm one step away from becoming a shareholder. Well, I'm a stakeholder already in my company. I'm a
Yeah,
step away from becoming a partial owner of the company, and
yeah,
so like I constantly have to call Ubers for our staff and our employees and
yeah, yeah.
shit, and like they like I'll like call the Uber for them, and they get in the Uber, and it's like the Uber is for Dutch Vega, and they're like, "What? Who is Dutch Vega?" Because they know me as my legal name Ronaldo
Yeah,
Rivera,
yeah.
and they're like, "What? Who's like?" Some of them know me from rap because some of like the homies
Yeah.
work with me, but a majority of our staff and our employees, we have like over 200 employees. More like at least 200 of them do not know who Dutch Vega is.
I was gonna
So
say,
they're
do
like,
any of them
they're
ever
like,
pull up the next day and
God,
be like, "Hey, yo, Dutch," like say
nah,
like
nah,
put a
because
question mark on
because
them?
I think because now I've been like the whole like the big man in charge for so long
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they're like there's like a level of like they're worried to like be too friendly with me, and I'm like you could do that. Like I'm ready to go into work and motherfuckers to show up and be like that they figured out who Dutch Vega was and come back
yeah.
at me with like no gag reflex and like all my like the pause thing, which is like the thing that everybody online loves to like talk shit to me about, like like you didn't have one illustrious moment in your career, sir. All we remember you for is going to pause hell once upon a time in a battle. And
This
so I
pause
expected
hell,
I come with that energy after them finding out like Dutch, but none of them do that. I'm just like, yo, fam, like I'm just in charge. I'm not like
yo.
like you can talk
Do they
shit to
think?
me. It's okay. You know
They
what I
think you're
mean?
gonna
Like
come in and like mention the gag reflex, and you're like, "Oh yeah, you know,
yeah,
clock out."
yeah,
Like,
yeah. You can clock out. Like your shift's over. Like nah, man.
yeah,
You gonna
exactly.
keep on getting work. I'm gonna keep on fucking with you. I'm just gonna talk shit to you now.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you just
Well, yeah,
open the
they
door for
started it, so yeah.
me to be like, yo, now we gonna start shit talking. Now you gonna get the battle rap side of me and shit. So, but the point is, you can tell people your name, like reverse live, and if there's any like alien, like I don't know if when you were making punk music and metal, you had a different artist name, is what like
um,
I mean by it. So, like your names and where you're from, and then where your parents are from.
yeah, well, I'm Reverse Live, known as Reverse Live, mostly known as a battle rapper, I guess, but I got a pretty cool cult following of music, mostly with I'm in a group called Gold Shards. I'm in a group called Death Dealers Anonymous with Dirtbag Dan. A lot of people don't know that's us too, that because we kind of don't give our identities out for the whole thing. But now, like if you're watching this, you know now. But fucking I'm in a group Reverse Live, DJ Akoza, formerly of Doom Shop. He runs East Down to the South Records. You know what I'm saying? So that's all my music stuff. I'm from Hollister, California, and my parents are also from Hollister, California. My mom's from Texas, but she lived most of her life here. So you know what I'm saying. I'm basically
Word,
I'm from the sticks, bro. Like, yeah.
word. We'll get into it because like I definitely want to know more about like Hollister, California, which is like I'm not really
Oh yeah,
too
it's
like I've been to Cali and I've been to like I went on tour. I used to do street team marketing and promotion shit back in the days because I'm an old fucking fossil. And I went on tour with Brian McKnight for Back at One,
fire.
and as the
That's the
promo
video with
as
the
a,
plane
one as
crash, huh?
right
That's
with the promo van though, right? Like I was not
yeah.
opening up for him. Like let's not get this confused, right? Like I was not the guy. I was not opening up for Brian McKnight in every city. No, no, no. I was the guy in the van that had his face plastered on it
Oh, the
that would hand
flyers and
out
shit,
flyers, tapes.
and like
Well, back then it was
old posters
CDs
and shit. Yeah,
and
yeah.
T-shirts, posters, shit like that. And really, to be perfectly honest with you, because I'm a New Yorker, we were shysters and we did not give away anything. We ended up selling everything
Hell
in the
yeah.
fucking parking garage to the same fans that were let
I,
out from the
I used to
event.
boost, so I fucking I can respect that, bro.
So we used to basically like we were getting paid already from the music industry, and then we made sure we got double paid
Oh yeah, fuck all
in the
that.
streets and shit. Like, yo, fuck this.
You're keeping these
You're
Brian
not giving
McKnight
away
fucking.
t-shirts for free, man.
You
You know what
should,
we could get for these t-shirts?
yeah. So
So
you
yeah,
should tell
so
chicks
we
you
did
like
that.
touch them and shit.
We did that, and by doing that, I got to travel. We stopped in Sacramento,
Mhm.
Oakland, San Francisco, LA, on tour with him on our way to like the next states over. I think Vegas was next after LA. But like we did that whole right, like uh not the coastal highway, but like the highway from like north of no, pretty north Sacramento, right?
Yeah,
All the
yeah.
way down. And I'm not sure I even ever heard the name Hollister before, right? So like I'm
It's like
super curious.
the way I could describe it is like like all those like random ass little towns like you pass like going to like like a place where like most people live. It's like one of those. It's just like a little stick ass town, you know what I mean?
I call
Like
those towns Podunk Shit Town
yeah,
USA.
no, that's
Like
what it is, bro. It's just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
straight like podunk ass fucking middle of nowhere ass town. And
But it can't be
yeah.
far from the bay then,
No,
I'm
that's what I was
guessing,
gonna
right?
say. The only thing that's cool about it is if you drive like 20 minutes to in any direction, you go San Jose, you got Santa Cruz is a little like beach, dope ass beach town. Like Oakland is only like an hour from me. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I'm in Oakland and San Jose all the fucking time. Like that's where I do all my music and shit. So I'm in the Bay Area
Word.
all the time. But like so yeah, like where I'm from, really, it's like just like you said, like a podunk ass town. But like the only benefit of that is like it's close to hell as shit. Like I'm in like the middle of a bunch of shit that's like cool. You know what I mean?
Word. Nah, that's I mean, I kind of guessed that because the last couple weeks have kind of almost built up this interview with you because
Yeah.
we interviewed Lonnie Oceans, FKA,
Oh, Joe.
Joe Powers,
Yeah, yeah,
FKA, Detective Blacksmith,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's
And
vintage right there.
vintage, baby, vintage. Like that's how far back we all go back. And then after his interview week, we interviewed QVD, and both of them talked about you, and they mentioned like you guys all kind of like being like friends online
Yeah, yeah,
of like battle rap, and then like realizing like yo, we should just all meet up. We don't live that far from each other.
yeah.
So them saying you don't live that far from each other, them being in the general Bay Area, even though they're not from the same towns themselves, right? Like I figure that it's kind of like one of those, probably like Hollister is to the Bay as Long Island is to New York City, or
Yeah,
maybe Westchester White Plains is to New York City, which
it's
is
like
like it's not New York City, but it's not that far
yeah,
either
it's
from
like one of those things where if like you hit me up in in earlier in the day and you want me to come through later, like I could do it. Like you know what I mean? Like I could make it out there in the day and make it back home at night type thing. Like nothing's
Word.
like too far. You know what I'm saying? That's what. But yeah, I don't know. Like I know you brought up Joe. Joe was like literally one of the first dudes I ever met. I remember when I went to like the first time I ever think I did like a legit battle was a scribble prelim, and I met Joe. Like we knew each other from rapmusic.com, but when I pulled up to get in line for the scribble prelim, Joe was in line already, and then like he was like reverse, and then like he was literally like probably the first battle rap like homie in real life I ever made was fucking Joe. Yeah, I don't
That's
even know if he knew that.
interesting.
I don't even
That's
know if he
no,
knew
that
that.
I didn't. I didn't, and I was about to say that's interesting, and that's like because on his end we got that for his first shit.
Yeah,
He had met you at his first shit. You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying?
No, that
So
was
it's
like both
interesting
of
to
our
find out
shit.
that
Yeah,
it's both of your first shit
yeah,
then,
that he was probably
because
the first cat like I ever met, like that I talked to online, where I was like, oh, that's this cat, like you know what I mean. And then like we were at the it was the scribble prelim, I think at Sweet's Historic Ballroom was probably like oh 07 or oh 08 scribble or whatever. Yeah.
interesting. Nah, that's so then I that's we're gonna get to all this actually.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
start
So
at the beginning, right? So
yeah.
you gave us your parents. Usually at this point, I pitch it over to my man Holden, and
Yeah.
he has a question that he has that I'm gonna shorten it because his shit is like wild long winded and shit, right? But basically, like his version of it, like is like him breaking down that like when he's a kid, like he remembers his dad. His wife is in the his wife is running his end of the stream, and
Yeah, yeah.
she's in the comments of the Twitch chat, and she's like, "LOL." she's like, she's like, Dutchy over here just shitted on my man Ho Ho. I didn't shit on Ho. What I'm saying is that the question is a little long winded and shit. I'm gonna break it down a little bit faster, right? But like it basically breaks down to like before before we're in control of the music. Like usually when people start talking about like what what do what do you love music shit, people like pick up in their teenage shit, because teenage shit is usually when you get like you start forming your own, right? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
like fuck my parents, whatever the fuck they listening to, I listen to this and I like this and I like that and shit. But like before that, really, like there's a whole life that happens. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
before you're like, soon as you're born, really, right? Like he says, inside the hospital, more than likely there's music playing. It's just you're a kid, you're fucking newborn. You're not gonna remember that,
Yeah,
right?
you don't know
But
what the fuck it is yet. Yeah.
but what we're trying to get to, like that he like illustrates with lots of like uh detail, is like him growing up and seeing his dad, with the preamp and the this and the that, and his father was like into like rock, I guess, and his mom was more into like disco and classical, or I think
Yeah, yeah.
ballet. I'm not sure, but like the question that it is pretty much is like, what was the soundtrack in your house before you could control it? What were your parents playing? What are your earliest thoughts of memories of like music in your household?
To me, for sure, like when I was like a kid of my parents playing music, I remember in the living room, my dad loves blues. He loves like blues music. Like that's his shit. Like he's into guitars in general. He doesn't play guitar, but he's like a guitar dude. Like he likes, you know what I'm saying? Like he likes like virtuoso guitarists, like dudes who this like the whole song is just a dude like getting down and shit. Like or like Eric Clapton and things like that, or BB King, or you know what I mean? He just likes blues guitar. But I remember he used to have a record player in the fucking front room with these two huge fucking speakers that were taller than me. Like I was like obviously I was a kid, but I remember these speakers were like bigger than me and shit. And I remember he would play like that type of shit while he like him and my mom used to clean the house because I remember on Friday they used to get me pizza, so I'd leave them the fuck alone, you know. So they just like slime me like a pizza and a soda and like start cleaning. And I remember my dad used to like blast fucking blues music. And for my mom, you know what's funny is my mom is probably the reason I got into hip hop because she hella liked Al Green and fucking you know what I'm saying? Like Gladys Knight and hella shit like
Old soul,
yeah, that you would hear in samples later. So I think a lot of
right?
the reason that I got even into hip hop was because when I'd hear like rap, like like beats and shit, I'd like be like, oh, like this is like the shit my mom listened to type. Like before I understood what it was, you know? Because I remember like I used to like I definitely me and my dad used to chop it up about music because I just love music in general. But me and my mom when I was younger, definitely I liked my mom's music a lot, like the soul music and shit. I remember and she used to have this fucking I remember like in her Honda when she used to have this Honda that had a tape deck, she had this fucking like book. Like remember those old like the tape like fucking cases with the plastic and you'd slide them in the car and
Yeah,
shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
She'd have that and I'd go through and like just pick out all that like whatever and just check them out. But I remember like that Earth, Wind and Fire, especially my mom that she used to slam that shit, bro. Just drop me
Your
off at
mom was into
cool ass
definite
TV.
soul.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
all the like cookout music that we
yeah.
fucking be rocking to
And
and
it's
shit.
funny too because my dad is like the he's the one with the Mexican like the Mexican Latin blood. My mom is white as fuck and but she was the one who was like slapping all the soul music and shit. You know what I mean? Like you think it'd be the
Word.
other way around and shit, but it wasn't.
Nah, that I mean, it's never surprising, right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
I think uh when you're surprised, it's more like from you making an assumption, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
because like everybody, like as I like 67 episodes talking to all the homies, and like we've gotten so many different answers to this shit that like I'm super not surprised anymore. Like now I'm like surprised more if it's like a like me type of thing. You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like it's a very like the more unlikely, the more likely. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. I
And
feel
like
you. Yeah,
my father was like that. Like my father, growing up, my father's Puerto Rican, my mother's Nicaraguan. So Nicaragua, right, is in Central America, sandwiched in between like South America, and like Mexico and shit.
yeah,
And so like you would think that like, oh, like my mom would be into like Mexican, type of music and shit like that. And my father, because he's Puerto Rican, would be into like salsa and merengue, which is like stuff that comes more from like the Latin Caribbean and shit. But like
yeah.
it was totally reversed. And like my father was into like mariachi and like Mexican corridos and
Oh
shit
no
like
shit.
that. And then my mom was like into like salsa merengue, like Latin
They
pop
like the
shit.
shit
You know what
from
I
each
mean?
other.
Yeah,
Shit.
like yeah,
Yeah.
totally different shit. Yeah, they like each other's region shit. You know what I mean? More
That's
than they
fire.
like their own regions and shit. So like that like tells me that like yo, that's just how it is. Like people are usually into, and when I look at like growing up, I'm just like, no, that makes sense. Like everybody's usually into things that you like. It'll be a logical for you next door reach. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
yeah, I was gonna say you'd obviously I see what you're saying. Like you'd probably be more interested in something you had to reach for because you're like, oh, what's this over here type shit. Other than
yes,
things that are just like around you and they're probably more like normalized to you. But you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah. That's
yeah,
yeah. But that's like probably like me. Why I grew up like I'm from the West Coast, but I grew up. I love East Coast music, like boom bap and shit. Like when I was younger, but I honestly think it's because like I grew up in a neighborhoods who were just listening to Spice One and all this shit. So to me, it was just like always there. And then when I heard the East
right.
Coast shit later, I was like, ooh, like what's this shit? And then I got like like that, like same.
Against the grainers.
Yeah,
Against the grainers,
yeah,
because I'm the same way, right? Because like growing up in New York City, right? Like everybody in New York is New York. Like we're the gods of rap.
yeah,
We
yeah,
make all the best rap. Nobody's better than us at this shit. And I was always like, yo, like nah, no doubt, right? Like love the shit that's great. Like, how can you deny greatness, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was into all majority. I won't say all because there's a lot of things that like come from New York City that like I grow up. I constantly tell people like I grew up in a neighborhood in the Bronx that like Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul and all that type of like native tongues rap was
Yeah.
like a no-go. Like growing up,
Yeah.
like the
Was it
guys
like
in like
soft? Like is that
yeah,
like
like the guys in my neighborhood would be like, "Yo, get that daishiki nerd rap the fuck out of here, bro. Like
yeah.
we are not fucking with that." Like they called it. I would remember specifically them being referred to as daishiki nerd rap. That I'd be like, "Oh shit!" And then my older sister was into it, and that made me even more like, "Oh, I can't listen to the shit my
Yeah.
older sister's nerd ass is listening to." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there's so like there's that, but then there's also just like for the most part like I also, for as much as I didn't listen to Tribe Called Quest, like Scenario is an undeniable song. Scenario
Yeah.
bumped across New
That's
York City.
like a that's a raw song.
Everybody
Yeah.
loved Scenario. You know what I mean? And so like I'm from New York, so like of course I'm gonna listen and love all sorts of New York rap. But like really for me, I had a wild like super desire to like I was super into the Alcoholics and the Liquid Crew and King T and Exhibit
Yeah.
and like I was a big Tash fan and
Cash is
just
one of
like
the
just
best rappers ever, bro.
amazing
Yeah.
freestyler, amazing rapper, period, right?
He
Like
has one, in
him.
my opinion, like one of the best like enunciations ever, and like the way he like we got attacked
Yeah.
with the West Coast ROM, like no
Go
matter what he,
wrong
yeah,
with the bomb with the
yeah, like no matter
his
what
shit
it
was
says, it's fly as fuck. You know what I
it,
mean? Like,
it sounded fly. Facts.
yeah,
He had a dope style. But yeah, like I always had an infatuation and like appreciation for um the West Coast, the South, just anywhere.
yeah.
Anything that was
I
not
I
typical,
actually,
I'd be like, I
yeah.
want to know what this is about and get into this. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I love like one of my main influences growing up was definitely like Southern hip hop. Like I loved like Memphis hip hop and more
3 6
specifically,
Mafia.
yeah, like I fucking loved like Master P shit, 3 6 a lot. I
Yeah,
love three
yeah.
six, and then Cash Money, obviously. Also, it's because there used to be this place over here called Family Tree, and it was this dude named Mark, and he would just sell bootleg CDs and like fake ass FUBU and shit like that. But a
Hmm.
bootleg CD is still a CD, so I just go there and just like fucking
When you're a kid, you there's no
yeah.
such thing as like,
And
oh,
he didn't care how old you were, like at Target wouldn't sell
hmm.
them to me because they had parental advisory. But you go to Mark's spot, he don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like give him $20, you got the CD. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. Yeah, we I think we because like that immediately led me to like a bunch of thoughts in my head of like, yeah, like we probably grew up because like I'm like, yo, I wore so much bootleg Tommy
yeah,
and just all label shit. And I'm just like, yo, that was a privilege. Like kids nowadays can't do that
no,
shit,
yeah,
right?
you can't, yeah.
Like they can't like and it's not even it's because the internet made the world so small that it's like everybody knows. Like back then, there was no internet for you to like find out what the actual catalog of what the actual genuine Tommy Hilfiger line for the year looked like for you to be able to identify the difference between the bootleg and the real. But
Yeah.
we live in an era nowadays where like you literally have Instagram pages dedicated to calling rappers out on wearing fake shit
That's
to
what
the
I'm saying. Yeah,
like you got kids that are in school that they can't get away with wearing bootleg shit. You know what I mean? Like we grew
yeah.
up in an era where like you could wear some bootleg FUBU and get like buns behind it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
like
saying?
yeah,
You
folks
like
be like, that's fly. I remember taking like a cookie patch, like a low cookie patch, and like putting it on like a
mm-hmm.
denim jacket, and motherfuckers would be like, damn, I've never seen the cookie patch denim. And I'm like, yeah, And like
Yeah,
nowadays
yeah.
people be like, what the fuck is that, dog? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yo, I tell people all the time, like, in New York, it's super familiar, right? It's like Chuck's to Cali.
yeah,
There's this Timberland boot that's like not the regular boot that everybody thinks of. That's from all the famous memes. There's
yeah.
another one that's like it's like brown and green. It's like a
Oh,
field boot.
the
It's
the beef and broccoli joints, the
the
ones.
beef and broccoli. Yeah, the beef and
Yeah.
broccoli. And so back then, like when they first only had beef and broccoli and the construction color, which we call the mac and cheeses, there were no colors. And I would catch scuffs on my mac and cheeses, and I would take them after I caught like a bad scuff to the shoe repair place, and I'd ask them to dye it for me, and they'd dye them in colors. And so I was like one of the only people in the whole New York City walking around with like these Timbs that like everybody would rock in colors. And people would be like, yo, where'd you get those? And I'd be like, I got them from a German catalog, which was like the most outlandish thing I could think of.
They could prove you wrong,
right? Like the most like, nah, I don't want them to know and steal my idea. So like, I'm going to give them something, but not give them anything, because no way can you get your hands on a fucking German catalog that like has
that's what I mean.
Timberland,
like, there's no way to disprove that shit.
No way to disprove that shit in 1999. Even though I think that was like the beginning of the internet, and if there was like a sleuth ass fucking New Yorker back then that would have heard me say that shit, he might have went to like the internet and been like, let me see how.
That would have taken some fucking work though to disprove that shit. And like that would have had to be on some ultra hater shit to just
super hater shit. But so like these are all, like we lived in a different era. We did not have to, jump through so many hoops that like the kids got to jump through nowadays. But so with that being said, like about your childhood, what are some of the songs that like you are like, yo, childhood, like boom, like my mom and my pops, like for me, one of them is like this been around the world now, I can't find my baby. That played on the radio growing up so much, and I could tell that both my parents loved it, because when it came on in the car, they would both like kind of like turn up the volume some. You know what I'm saying? So like, what are some of the songs like that from your childhood that you're like, yo, they immediately just like snap you right back to childhood?
Like I said, my mom, Earth, Wind and Fire, September, like that's my mom's favorite song of all time.
Great song.
Like I said, when she used I remember like I have a lot of memories of being like dropped off at school with like that song just blasting, like, you know what I mean? Like her not even turning it down, dropping me off and shit. Like opening the door, you know what I mean? And then everyone around like, what the fuck is like, but definitely that shit, like actually probably more than like a lot of shit. And also I left my wallet in El Segundo by Tribe, because I remember that was like the first rap song that my like parents ever liked, like more so my dad. But I remember because they weren't like really into hip hop and shit, but I remember my dad just hella liked that song, and that was one of the first like rap song. Well, I was like a 90s latchkey kid, so like my parents were always working out to take care of my little brother, so I'd watch like music video or MTV music video. I've always loved music videos, but I think maybe even I left my wallet in El Segundo might be like the first rap song I could remember, and it's because my dad, like, that was the first rap song I remember either one of my parents being like, oh, this is a good song type shit. You know what I mean?
Word. That's dope that your parents had that like type of, you know what I mean? Forward thinking. My parents were super not like, they were like, what is this fucking rap shit?
Well, this shit. That's how they were with like for the most part. But like I said, I would always have MTV on like when they'd get home and shit. And I'm sure like one day, like my dad probably didn't change the channel yet, and that shit came on, and he was probably like cleaning or doing something, and was probably like, you know what, this is like a good song. They're not rapping about, like whatever the fuck like fucking suburban people think when they hear rap and shit. You know what I'm
saying? Right. They were like, this is nothing like what the news said it would be.
Yes, exactly. Like, no, this is a nice song.
This is nice and wholesome. These are good gentlemen right here.
But yeah, I would say like as far as childhood memories though, like definitely Earth, Wind and Fire, September, just because like my mom wore that shit the fuck out. Like anything you could imagine getting worn out, a vinyl, a tape, a CD, like my mom wore that shit the fuck out through generations. She's probably listening to it right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Fucking
word. So word. Okay, so what was it like in like your household at back then? You know what I'm saying? Like when like what were you into? Like, what was the vibes that were you know, cartoons, comic books,
Yeah.
video games? Like, what was
Oh
the
yeah, like I said, I was a 90s latchkey kid. Like, so I was my parents, like, they both worked for like and out here we have PG&E, the fucking Pacific Gas
mm-hmm,
and Western. They both worked
mm-hmm.
for PG&E, and they both did like a lot of OT and shit. So, and I have a little brother who's 4 years younger than me. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, after I took care of my little brother a lot. Like they'd be at work and I'd be at home, like just to
Yeah,
taking
you had to watch Little
yeah,
Brother.
just watch my little brother. And but I was always into definitely comic books and shit. Like, like I said, since I'm home like by myself and stuff, I need a lot of shit to like entertain me, I guess, like
Mm-hmm.
imagination wise. So I always like was big on comic books, anime too. Like I always have been a big anime head. And even back in the day when I'd have to go to the video store and rent them and shit like that, like I was always just really into anime. And music videos have always been like a constant thing that I've liked, like growing up. Remember back in the day, like when music videos were like a fucking thing, like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You'd stay up and
Absolutely.
try to like
It
see certain ones and shit like that. Like,
it still is a
yeah,
thing to me because of that, right?
yeah,
Like I still
exactly.
actually care about like the music videos from like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
artists that I tune into and shit. Like I'm
Yeah,
like the artists that I'm tuned into, I'm like, nah, the music videos make me like the songs
yeah,
more sometimes.
exactly,
If
bro.
you do a good music video, like it can bring the song back to life for me if it's already been in
and
rotation heavy.
and like imagery is definitely something you could connect with too when you see someone wearing something that you would, or like, you know what I'm saying, like I
Yep.
remember, like, for instance, like being a dude who likes anime and seeing like Ghostface doing like Daytona 500, having the speed racer like AMV back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and just being like, oh, that shit's tight, like fucking Ghost fucks with anime type shit, like, and it makes you just
Yeah.
like it more because you think he's watching what you're watching and you like connect
Yes.
on
Big
like a
facts.
different level and shit. Even something as simple as
That's
that.
one of my favorite. I argue with people like with the homies out here that like I think that Iron Man is better than Only Built for Cuban Links.
Oh, I agree with you.
And Daytona 500 was like one of like back then. Like now, it's not my favorite track off that album, right? Like me more whatever develop palette or whatever
Yeah,
like
yeah,
bullshit talk, right? But like regardless, sitting with that album for years and still fucking with it, like it's not my favorite track anymore, right? But it used to be my favorite track. And particularly because of that reason, because it was like, yo, Ghost fucks with Speed Racer,
yeah,
bro. Like
yeah,
this
dude.
is lit. Like
It's like,
this is and
dude.
Speed Racer, the beat, the was super like dope. And
Yeah,
hearing it
it went with
on
it so good, dude. And it looked like they were
so
like
good.
rapping parts of the song and shit. I remember just being
Mm-hmm.
blown away by that shit, dude. And that
Mm-hmm.
I could honestly say, because like on that album too, I know that there's like there's a lot of fucking like I like Assassination Day is a fucking hard ass song. There's a lot of
Assassination Day is a
I
great
love
song.
that beat so much. But that
Yes.
song, I like what I love about that song is like the intro with the dude singing, and then it just
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where it's like,
KOTD.
yeah, yeah, and it's like, so you don't know what's gonna happen, you know what I mean? Like, and you're like,
Yeah.
where's this going? And then that beat comes in, and you're like, what
Mm.
the fuck? Yeah, you can like
This
pick
is
up a
yeah,
fucking
super
car,
hard.
dude. Like,
Yeah, it's musicality for sure.
I
Like
love that shit.
RZA was definitely wild ahead of his time, and
Yeah,
like
fuck yeah.
with like definitely like people always like to like link Kanye to like Pete Rock, but like I cite like RZA more so because like
Like
RZA kind of
structure
was
wise,
the
for sure. Yeah.
structure wise, and also like RZA kind of like Pete Rock tapped it, but like before, but like really RZA like perfected the like soul sample, the chipmunk soul sample in hip hop records. Like he kind of like perfected it amongst that like beginning Wu sound, you know, like
Like tears and
so.
shit like that. Fuck yeah, dude. Like,
Mm-hmm,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
He's got I got a huge ass like every other white rapper. I got a big ass Wu-Tang tattoo on me. but But like, yeah, I fucking love Wu-Tang. Like Raekwon is,
Yeah.
you know what's funny is Raekwon is in my top five, but I do think Iron Man is better than Only Built for Cuban Links. I just like Ray just because of he has like the weirdest like style ever, but it like I don't know. I just like dudes who rap
Super
like
unorthodox.
yeah, unorthodox. They have their own little thing, you know, it's fucking cool and shit. But I don't know, but I definitely share that opinion with you. I get shit for that all the time, and I think it was written as better than Illmatic too. And people always think I'm crazy for that shit.
That's a
I was gonna say my argument is it's a better album, like it's more complete. Like I understand that Illmatic probably has like more bangers, you know what I'm saying? But like
mm-hmm.
it was written plays as an album better. There's like skits and there's like, you know what I mean? There's like different types of songs and shit that create different moods and shit like that. So and that's just me though.
No. Actually, I was gonna say, like, I think that that's a general opinion of our age group more
Yeah.
so. Like, um, my homies that are like older than me, all right, are like of the other mindset of like, nah, Illmatic is the greatest, and it was written was not a classic to them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was like a failure sophomore album
But I was
essentially.
gonna say
To
back
which to
back
which I'm
then
like to
dudes
which I'm
hated
like
on
back then
sophomore albums.
yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
also I think that they come from an older school, and to them, like if I Rule the World was too commercial, and it was too like that's the sound that he had Street Dreams,
Yeah.
and was just it was all too commercial for them,
That was
and it
more
was
like
just like and
the
right
jiggy the
and
sound or whatever.
yeah, and to
Yeah,
which I'm like, yo, you're bugging. That shit was hard,
yeah,
and
fuck
like
yeah.
you like there was like still plenty of affirmative action on there. You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
that's a fucking hard dude. My like one of my favorite fucking Nas songs, fucking what's the Take It in Blood, bro. That is a fucking hard
yeah,
ass song. That is one of the hardest
yeah.
Nas songs ever. And I think that one is almost like a swept under the rug gem if you don't really know that album, but like that's a hard ass fucking
hmm
Nas. That's probably my favorite Nas song too.
And then to this day, right? Like people still name "Gave You Power" as like one of the greatest conceptual
Yeah,
records
concept song.
ever.
I think
You
you
know,
can't
like
really debate that. Like, there's actually, you know what? There's probably ones that come close, but that song does the
it's a great. I think Eminem and Nas are conceptual song geniuses.
yeah
Like
because they
they
make
come up with
listenable ones.
really yeah, they make listenable ones, and also they do ones that are like, oh, I'm gonna approach this from a way nobody else has thought of yet, type
Like
shit.
Rewind too.
And
Nas Rewind. That's another.
Rewind is my favorite one out of all of his.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the one that I cite before I got power
yeah,
or
yeah.
gave you power. But like, I feel like my friends and people that like bring this top when they bring it up, they always cite that song before anything else in his catalog. And I'm
Yeah.
always like, Rewind is the one. What are we talking about?
Rewind is probably like
He told us a whole story backwards,
backwards,
fam.
dude.
Like,
That's like one
what
of
are
the
we like?
craziest
Yeah,
fucking concepts
what
ever,
the
dog.
fuck?
I
Crazy,
remember
amazing.
I remember meeting a cat from New Jersey when I was like in San Diego one time, and me and that fool
Mm-hmm.
became just hella good friends because he was he had a Nas shirt on, and I was just like chopping it up with that, and we just like were like gushing over how amazing Rewind was, you know what I mean? And like the
Right.
other people at the table didn't understand, so we're just like, you know, fuck these people, like you know what I'm saying? Like, but dude,
And it's crazy because I experienced that album in Hawaii because I was that was the year that I got sent to Hawaii, like was 96. So that year I'm like entrenched in this like the high school that I went to was Moanalua High, in which is like not a military school, but it was a public school, but it might as like it had a heavy. The local neighborhoods were all like military,
oh, was it
uh,
like
uh, homes,
yeah, I was
neighborhoods
gonna
and
say
shit.
they were like army brats and shit like that, like a lot of the
Yeah,
kids
so it was
and stuff.
a
Yeah.
lot of, but there was also equal parts, like the local, natives and the Samoans. I got into heavy beef with the Samoans while I was out there because typical New York kid, right? Like coming out there arrogant. I was 16 at the 15,
Those some
about to
scary
turn
motherfuckers.
16, and I was just, I didn't know how to act. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
like, and Samoans and the natives were already heavy on the like, fuck everybody not from
Yeah, yeah.
like this is our island. Fuck you, like and I was
Or
just
you're
like,
just like
what?
wilding ass dude from New
I'm
York
like,
and
I'm from
shit.
New York, son.
Yeah. And they're like, all right, I get it. Fuck.
Yeah, yeah,
That's hella
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
You were like the most like vocal about not being from there and shit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But like I actually like for like out of all the like stuff from New York that didn't make it out there, that album did. Like that
Yeah,
album bumped. Like people loved out there, loved everything about that album. So
yeah,
to me, I have that like this like very rare, unique experience that your average New Yorker, that even if I didn't have like an older brother who had been in the Navy and I hadn't been fucking up and selling fucking weed and my mom hadn't found out and gotten
yeah,
into a
yeah.
fight, gotten jumped and gotten fucking my ribs fractured and then sent to Hawaii because my brother was gonna quote unquote straighten me out. Like if all these
Hey,
crazy things
getting I
didn't
was gonna
happen,
say getting
I
sent
wouldn't
to
have
Hawaii doesn't sound like
yo,
that bad of a
super,
punishment.
super. Nah, all the way. Like everybody to this day always says that. But you also got to think about it from the other perspective of like, think about when you're 15, 16, being
Yeah,
taken away from
you
everything
probably
that you
like homies
know.
and shit.
Like
Yeah,
what? Like I was running wild already in New York City. Like that
yeah,
was why my parents sent me to be with my brother because it was like, yo, he's uncontrollable. He doesn't know how to act. He's starting to like disrespect us and like this is not what we raised, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And my brother was like already in the Navy and like, oh, I'm gonna straighten him the fuck out, like send
yeah.
him my way. And it was like, no, you're not. Like it's already a wrap. Like the streets got a hold of me, son. You know what I mean? Hip hop in the streets got a hold of me. I'm gone and shit. But I got to experience it out there. So like it's a rare opportunity for a New Yorker to have actually gotten to experience that New York sound in a
Like from
like I
other
said,
people's
not the
perspective,
West
kind of.
Coast, but kind of like West Coast adjacent, like
Yeah,
off
yeah,
the
yeah,
coast, area and shit. You know what I'm saying? So like
yeah,
for me to have gotten experience like that, I feel same way. You know what I mean? Like it was written is better than Illmatic, and I was not a big Illmatic fan. That was
yeah,
the generation before me that kind of was already into it. I think that like I came right at the tail end of that. And then when Ready to Die came out was when I fell in love with shit. And that's the album that I fell in love with.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then so it was written when that came out, that was my era of like fully, like what we're talking about. Or what we're about to get to, right? Because we're still
Yeah.
talking. We're graduating through. So to get back to it, you were into comic books, you said, and cartoons. What are some of the anime that you watch? Some of the cartoons that you watch? Some of the comic books that you were into. What was the things that were keeping your attention back then?
Like comic book wise, like I've like always loved Marvel, more so X-Men. I really like when I was a kid, I used to just read X-Men all the fucking time. And even more specifically X-Force, like with Cable and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
I
think
forgot
that's an
you
our
fuck
generation
yeah,
thing.
you fuck with Marvel and shit too, huh? But yeah,
Yeah,
like
nah, X Force specifically.
yeah, I love X-Force. When I was a kid,
That
like
was what got me into comic books. Was my brother had left me his New Mutants up until '99,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
like I read all those, and then got to '99 and was like, I gotta go to the comic book store,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then I picked up into and so literally X Force #1 was like my first comic book purchase.
Yeah, fuck X-Force was like I think that was like around probably same thing like when I went to the first time I went to the comic book store cuz I liked Cable. I was like a big fan of Cable already. Like I liked Cable and
Uh-huh.
Bishop from like, the cartoon and shit like that. And when I started buying comics, I remember when I was little like I just saw like shit with Cable on it. So I was like, well, I want this, you know what I'm saying? And then through that, I just ended up just going and getting X Force, and that's just what I liked was X Force, and like, but I also liked, you know, like like the fucking Infinity Gauntlet shit. I read that when I was younger and stuff
I
like
did too.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and but yeah, just general Marvel shit, you know, that was cool back in the days. Like they had a lot of like offshoot, like cool stuff that you could read. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the Image shit back then, like Spawn. I love Spawn. Spawn was my shit too. And
Word.
actually, speaking of that, I remember when I was young, I used to go get Spawn shit all the time. And when I was older, I went back to the same comic spot that I hadn't been there in a while, and like I had grown up and shit like that. Because for a while I was just
Mm-hmm.
ordering comics, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go back to the spot and just, you know, for the fuck of it type thing. And the dude at the spot was like, "Oh yeah, you were that Spawn kid, huh?" He called me the Spawn kid.
Remembered you.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I bought a lot of Spawn shit." Like I like, you know what I mean? I
Word.
was a kid, so I didn't really remember. But he's like, "You were that Spawn kid," and I was like, "Yeah, I love
That's
Spawn."
dope.
But
That's
yeah,
dope.
and as far like anime stuff, like basically as far as anime, it was like when I was younger, it was like way less accessible than now. Like you had to go just whatever they had at the video store. So, but you know, like Akira, like Ghost in the Shell, like classic shit. I used to Ninja Scroll was my shit when I was a kid. That was one of the movies I would go back and rant over and over and over was Ninja Scroll. I fucking love that
Word.
movie, dude. Like that was till this day. I love that movie. But when I was a kid, I was like low key obsessed with that shit. And then yeah, but video games too. Like I was like Sega Genesis generation and shit. Street Fighter specifically. Like even now I always have been into fighting games. Like I like more so like Street Fighter and you know what I mean? Like shit from back then, like Fatal Fury or King of Fighters, like the old school shit like that. Like and I used to just play fighting games and stuff. And as I got older, like now I don't play video games ever other than I have a PlayStation 2 and I play Street Fighter 3 and 2. Like I have this anniversary disc that has the two old games on it and shit, you know.
Word.
But
I
I
was gonna say
stopped.
almost kind of like the what do you call those? The simulators that
Oh, the
have like
emulator.
all
Yeah,
the
it's like
emulators.
that, but
Yeah.
it's a disc for the PlayStation, and it just has a bunch of the
Word.
Street Fighter shit on it. But like as you could tell, I have a PlayStation 2. I stopped playing video games like at PlayStation 2. My kids and my lady play video games and shit, but like it's just not my bag anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I feel you. Same. I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm the same energy. Like I think the last uh I'm not sure if it was one or two, but like around the time when Rockstar did the Warriors game
Oh, that was a hard ass
and
game. Yeah.
and GTA San Andreas.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
like the cutoff for me. Like after
Yeah. So
that,
like
like
PS2,
I
like
kind of
literally the same as me, basically. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like right around there was like where it's just like all right, like work took up so much,
Yeah,
um,
exactly. I got
uh,
a job,
uh,
basically. Yeah.
so much. Yeah, I got so much shit going on, and rap took up like
Yeah.
like that became the passion. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, yo, rap is like what I'm here to do, not like play games. Like
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
didn't. The passion wasn't there anymore. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
I
like I
started like taking rap serious probably around 13, 12 or 13. So that's probably around like that time. It was like I still played like a little, like I said, like Street Fighter. I would listen to beats and play Street Fighter to like think of shit, you know what I mean? It was like just like something to do, you know. But like definitely I stopped like around like PlayStation 2 time. I didn't really do video games anymore and shit like that. So like I'm definitely my mind state is still like vintage video games. If I'm trying to play anything, it's gonna be like something from before 2010 or some shit. You know what I mean?
yeah. There's usually I save like any comments or questions from the crowd for the end because like they usually like answer themselves. But this look obnoxious beats on the Twitch posted. He said, "Yo, I just want to say two things. One, I love Reverse's work in DDA. I fuck with DDA heavy. Been
Yeah.
following them since the very first 4-song EP/VHS, and
Hell
I
yeah.
listen to everything they do. Definitely one of my favorite underground projects. Two, I absolutely loved Reverse Live on the Dirtbag Dance Show. Every freestyle and every bar pong was fire. Reverse was one of the funniest. He brought me to tears laughing more than once. Thanks. You
Hell
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like
I
I want him.
appreciate that.
I don't know. I don't know if Obnoxious is gonna stick around for the whole thing. I might get annoying. I might get obnoxious to him at some point. You know what I mean? And he's like,
Oh
"Yo,
yeah.
fuck this guy and his interrupted ass," or some other shit. Maybe he don't like my gap. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And he's
yo,
just like, "I'm not gonna sit. I'm not gonna sit through this guy." And I want him to. I want him to have heard his comment. You know what I'm saying?
yo, no, that's
Give it,
fire as
especially
fuck,
since it was
dude.
a compliment and shit. You know what I'm
Shout,
saying?
yo, shout
Yeah,
out,
nah.
shout out to anyone who used to turn in the Dirtbag Dad show and just watch me act the ass all the fucking time. My whole like role on that show was just to basically like I was like the son that Dan never wanted. Like so I would just kind of like derail everything for comical purposes and he would try to bring it back, you know? And like that was just what I did, you know, like I would just come on there and do nonsense and then like the chat liked it.
No
So they
problem.
like that's just what I came back and started doing and shit. But yeah, shout out to the DDA shit too, man. That's us the death dealers too. Like that has got me a cool little cult following of people who like really fuck with that music. You know what I mean? Like it's really cool too. So
Yeah,
shout out.
no, that's super. Like I can appreciate it because like I have people that like fuck with me specifically behind like my music, and they
Yeah,
like out gate. They were always right. Like where it's just one of those things where like I was never like in contention for being like top tier guy in New York, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
battle
yeah.
rap scene. So like when people fucked with my music and were like continuously fucking with me, you know, specifically because I was constantly putting out music, it was always like, yo, I know that you're here because you fuck with my music. Like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
because like
I think
I'm like
that's
the
like a
top
better feeling than the because the battle rap
super,
shit's very
super,
fleeting. Like, you know what I mean? Like
very
they'll
fleeting,
like
very
full
fleeting.
like love you, but if you don't battle enough, like for whatever, they don't fuck with you anymore. And it's like that.
Yes,
And if when people fuck with your music, bro, like they fuck with you, like specifically.
yes, exactly,
They're like, I like what the fuck you do with this, and I fuck with this.
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not like
because usually you express yourself a little bit more, I think, in your
yeah,
music. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
And
And it's more it allows for more expression, right? Where like
yeah,
really battle rap is not like it's not like they're like, oh, get in front of each other and give me like two verses, both of you that are not about each other, have nothing to do with each other. Whatever you want to do, just you know, make it not about each other.
yeah,
Make
yeah.
it, you know, like there's very little room for that in rap. It's like either you're here to destroy each other or you're here to compliment each other and give each
Yeah,
other
those are the
flowers.
two. Yeah,
Like those are the two only lanes.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like, hey, you know, show up and like whoever can be the most artistic, you know, like wins. Like
yeah.
it like because
Well,
then like so, imagine somebody will probably show up and be like, yo, I play the piano and like drop like a fucking baby
yeah,
grand
like
in the
some
middle of
like
the battle and
amazing
shit, like
shit. Yeah,
and
it's
just start dropping some like super
like
Mozart, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
but
like
you know, there's
to me, battle
yeah,
rap though, in general, like the reason like I think it's fleeting like that, it's because it's very like pro wrestling. Like no one is really like you don't go in there and I think that's one of the reasons like too that I haven't caught on as much as other people is because I don't really do that shit. Like, you know, like the whole fake beef with dudes before a battle or
right.
you know, like or like, oh, I'm gonna body this dude. Like I kind of just show up, rap, and then you know, like if you
That's it.
fuck with it, you fuck with it. If you don't, you don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just how I've always been about it and stuff like that. So like I definitely could see like why people like why battle rap is fleeting because you're not like a lot of time you're not getting like an honest representation of a person as you would with the song, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And if you do bad in one, fools will just not fuck with you anymore. If the last battle you did you sucked and you didn't do anymore, people
Hmm.
like low key will just like shit on the rest of everything else you did because the last one you did was
Yeah,
whack, you know what I mean? And
facts, facts.
that shit to me is like one of like the things that kind of sucks about battle rap. You know what I'm saying? Is like how fleeting
Super.
it is sometimes. But on the other end of it, like it's something I've always had love for, and I guess like I'd still like in the mode of like I'm you know what it's like when you're killing it and like you just got the
Oh
fucking
yeah,
in the middle of your fucking palm and shit like so like that's hard that's a hard like feeling to like shake when you know like oh
yeah. No,
I could just go do
absolutely.
this event and get my little like adrenaline rush from like fucking like rapping that day, like you know what I mean. Like, so I still
Yes,
low key
yes.
live for that shit, but it's definitely like strenuous
It's a
sometimes.
great feeling.
Yeah, to like try to keep up with certain, I guess, appearances that certain, like, I guess they want from you, because I'm not really about that shit, you know what I mean? Like I don't
Hmm.
know. I'm not very performative with fucking like characters and shit like that. Like making a character of myself. I'm kind of always just like me, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not really
Right.
like
You're not. You're not. You're not. You're not really much for the wrestling show as much as you're like
yeah,
actually showing. Like it's almost like you're. I'm not sure how familiar you are with wrestling. I'm like back in the days, like the fucking Ultimate Warrior,
yeah, fuck yeah. I used to watch that shit. Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, Rockers,
Hell yeah. Rest
fuck
in peace, Marty
Coco
B.
B.
Day.
Coco
Yeah.
Beware, Ted DiBiase days. Those are my days, right? So
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'm
I
not,
used to,
I'm
yeah,
not,
fuck yeah.
I'm not. Like once like Stone Cold and all that comes around, I'm already gone, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
like so, I'm not like fully sure about like if there was, but like it would be like if a real actual like college like or professional wrestling mat wrestler, right, that like got into WWE
Yeah, yeah.
wrestling, right? It'd be it. I guess it's kind of like that for you, where it's just like
Well,
you're
yeah,
really here to really just rap,
like, yeah.
and you're not really with the antics, which is really kind of what battle rap has really
Yeah,
become
it's
in a lot of ways.
basically like, if yeah, like if like, to be honest, like, not to say it's like looks bad on anyone, that because they're just good at what
No,
they do,
no,
you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
But like
yeah. Because I don't
they're
mean
just
that in a
better at selling the
critical way.
show than I am. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, they're very good at
Mm-hmm.
like starting like a lot of, like, like I said, like they'll talk shit about their opponent and go back and forth on Twitter all day and get a bunch of people to like retweet shit and all that stuff and do interviews and just dog fools out. And like, I really can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like when I do interviews, they're like, "What do you think about your opponent?" And I'll be like, well, he's pretty dope. That's why I'm battling him. I wouldn't battle him if I thought he was trash. You know what I mean? Like, fucking.
Right,
So it's
right.
like I don't know. Like, I don't. It's hard for me to, like, I guess, like, it's a gift and a curse. Like, because a lot of people fuck with me for the way I am with shit. But I also know that I could have probably elevated to a more like popular level if I would have like involved myself in more of the bullshit. Like, I guess in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really with the
Right.
fuck shit, and it's like it's been good to me and been bad to me. So, but like, people still fuck with me. I have my space in battle rap, so I'm not like mad at it. I've gotten way farther than I thought I was gonna fucking get. You know what I mean? So whatever.
Word. That's
Yeah,
like super plus in life.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I look at things like that in life as well, right? Like I'm always like not even like I saying that I have is like I don't look at the glass like it's half full or it's half empty. I look at it like, yo, I appreciate that somebody left me some fucking water to drink
yeah,
at all. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Like, at a
Like there's
certain
fucking
point,
water
yeah.
here. Like, yo, you served yourself water and I get some. Wow, lucky me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like,
Fuck yeah.
so it's like I can understand the mentality of like, yo, I came into this like I didn't fucking think I was
Yeah,
gonna get this
exactly.
fucking
After
far.
a certain
I
point,
didn't think that
everything
I
was
was
a
gonna,
plus. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
after a
yeah,
certain point, it was like,
super.
oh, this is just like, I already did what I thought I was gonna do. Like, I already got, as I remember, even like at Battle of the Bay 1, and like, as far as a battle rapper in California, and I'm sitting at like this pizza spot, and it's like Awkwards and the Saurus, and like, you know what I mean? Like, all these motherfuckers that I've grown up watching, and like, we're all just chopping it up and shit. And like, as a kid who watched battles, like, to me, that was like, oh, well, I made it. Like, I'm here. Like, I'm with the dudes that I watched, whatever. So everything after that was just like, oh, what, like
Plus.
it still blows my mind that people like fuck with my shit at all. Like, you know what I mean? Because like,
Right.
I still, like, I'm a dude who has a job and like a family and shit. Like, and so like, when
Mm-hmm.
people come up to me and like, they're like, man, I fucked with this or I fucked with that, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I rap too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny
Yeah.
because like, I'm always rapping in my head, but I forget that other people know I rap sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my mind, I'm still like this, like a kid trying to fucking like achieve something, but like,
Yeah.
sometimes like someone will recognize me or do something, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I got farther than I thought. Like this is cool. You know what I'm saying? Like it humbles you,
Yes,
brings you back to earth type thing. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, nah, I can appreciate all of that. I can
Yeah.
appreciate all of it because I feel the same way. Where it's just like, I didn't like really. I look at it as just like I'm just I'm gonna be doing what I do till the day I die,
Yeah,
regardless,
exactly.
because I love making music at this
Yeah.
point, right? Like I
Same
can't even
same
like I think
wavelength, man.
I've gotten like I finally got to a place where like, oh, you know what? I'm not scared to like, try to like fucking hum or sing a melody or try, half sing, hold a notish melody because like I care about the music sounding good more so than I care about like just out rapping everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that like um I get to have the privilege of like just doing what I love and people kind of fucking with it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like some people, and so like the people that fuck with it are just like, yo, thank you, because
Yeah,
like
exactly, dude.
you fuck with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and like I
It's always
wasn't
a
planning on
surprising feeling when
all win.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
like, oh,
super.
thanks, dude. Like, yeah.
Oh, what? Oh, you think I'm cool? Fuck, pretty awesome. Like I was just doing some shit, over here in my little corner, my little fucking nook, just doing me, just
Yeah,
minding
yeah.
my own fucking business and shit. Um,
It's like, yeah, when someone like walks by, like some, you're like, hey, I like what you're doing here. It's like, oh shit, all right, cool. He's like looking
yeah, yeah,
around.
yeah. No. So let's get back to it. So you're now you're into these things. What's going on with like school? Like your parents are they're dropping you off. September is bumping. You're growing up the latchkey kid. When is it that like you do become like, oh, this is my first favorite album? Like, what is the album? What is the age that we're at? What's
um,
going on now? What's the vibes?
my first like favorite like rap album, like when I was stupid into like hip hop and like actually getting shit on my own and stuff like that was I think I was probably like 11, 10 or 11. Well, I started rapping when I was 12, so it's probably like 10 or 11 when I but 93, the 93 till infinity, souls of mischief, fucking that
Okay,
album like was the shit to me when I heard that shit, because
official.
that was also like up until that point I like I said I listened to mostly was like Memphis and like Master P and all this shit, but like all the shit they
Mm-hmm.
rapped about was like hella hood and stuff, and I like appreciated
Mm-hmm.
it as a listener. But when I heard like Souls of Mischief, these fools were like spitting and doing all this shit over these like like boom bap beats and stuff, and I was like in my head I was like, oh, I could probably rap like this. Like I literally when I heard that shit like when I was a kid, when I first got obsessed with that, like it made me want to rap listening to that. And like that's when I started like trying and to like rap and things like that. You know what I mean? But definitely
Word.
that Souls of Mischief album. Most Def Black on Both Sides was another one when I was young. That was like I loved that fucking album like a lot when I was a
I
kid.
I
And
promoted that album.
oh, you did? Were you on
Yeah,
the
same as the
Brian
Brian
McKnight shit?
McKnight. Say like I was in the van that had on one side it had because it was a part of a dual drop for Raucous Records, and it was both. They were dropping like back to back Most Def Black on Both Sides and Pharaoh Monch's Internal Affair.
Oh, Internal Affair.
So on one side of the van was Most Def's face, and on
Yeah.
the other side of the van was Pharaoh Monch's album cover.
Yeah.
And we were bumping those really hard in that van because you would have to drive around. Not you would have to drive around. You would have to when you pop up at a like location to do the job, right, and promote the
Yeah.
album. You would have to be playing the album. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so like that we fucked with that album heavy and shit. That album was amazing.
I
That
fucking
Black on
love that
Both Sides.
album. And then I remember another one that was a real big deal to me was like probably a lot of people around like before even because I like I said I was like around like a lot of the stuff I was listening to had been out for a while already, you know what I'm saying? Because I'd been like 10 or whatever. But I remember like DMX, like I remember on the same day it was dark and hell is hot. And I think what was the one that and then there was X. Was that the one that had fucking what you want and shit on it? Or
Yes,
there
and
was
then there
that
was
one, right?
X. Yeah,
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 because I got
yeah.
those two on the same day, and I didn't get his second album till like later. You know what I'm saying? The fucking
Word.
Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of
Flesh
My
of my flesh, blood of my blood.
but I
Yeah.
remember I got those two the same day, and I remember when I was a kid, I fucking loved DMX. Like I remember funny story about being in middle school listening to DMX. There was this kid that my friends told me was talking shit about me and said he wanted to fight me, right? But they were
Little
lying to me.
motherfucker.
They were just like fucking with me, right?
Oh, he just wanted you to get your ass kicked or
And
get into a fight or some
yeah, yeah.
shit.
And so, but I didn't know this yet, right? Because I didn't have a cell phone at the time. And I threw my headphones on and walked from my house to a basketball court to go meet with these fools, right? And and they were all there and shit. And I was listening to Get At Me Dog by DMX, just like pumping myself up, dude. Like I was just like repeating it on my
That's
Walkman.
fighting
It's
music.
like,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. And so I get there and the fool's there and they're trying to like they don't like I think they I don't know what they thought if I knew yet or whatever, but I got there and I took my headphones and my backpack off and I just started swinging on that fool. And then they were like, wait, like you know what I'm saying? Like we were fucking around. They just wanted me to pull up because they wanted me to play basketball with them and shit. So like because you know what I'm saying? But they were like fucking with me, saying that I needed to go fight, but they wanted me to come ball. But I just showed up and started swinging on this dude, and he like dips back, and he was like, "We were lying, dude. What the fuck?" Like, you know. But it was funny because
shit
I
teenagers
just got
do.
so hyped on fucking DMX.
DMX.
There was like no
Facts.
time to explain shit. Like I was just like, I'm hyped up on X right now, dog. Y'all can't.
Yeah, nah, that's definitely like. I mean, I think all the right, like those, like in New York, there's a lot of like, look, Mob Deep is like fucking riding music. Like, yo,
Hell
he gonna
yeah,
go set it on somebody.
yeah.
MOP was like
Oh,
Jack that
MOP.
fool. Like their
If
whole
you
energy
play,
was
yeah.
always like all
MOP
straight up
has like a
fucking
direct link to my adrenaline. Like if you throw anything by like firing squad on, like I'm just gonna
yeah,
fucking like
yeah,
get up and like stomp around like and you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
yeah.
just start
Nah,
breathing
I
heavy.
love MOP. I love MOP. I love MOP. Funny story, right? Like I was working that was like my first job, fresh out of high school. I was in my last year of high school, so it was last year of high school and first year out of high school that I was in the music industry doing street teaming shit. And I'm getting to know like this industry and like being at events. And we were at an event that MOP was throwing. Funkmaster Flex he had a street team like ours, and he had vans as well. It was
Yeah.
like a marketing company, and they would like promote these same records sometimes, or same artists. And he had a street team, and they were promoting something, I think, and they were at this MOP event. And man, they were like at the door and not letting in Fox, which is MOP's tour manager. She's like one of their like homies that's like family.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like, you know, like she's been in wild MOP videos. And she looks like the type of woman that you don't fuck with. And one of them did something, talked to her the wrong way, and yo, she uppercut, knocked dude the fuck out, like
Damn.
slumped him,
Light
like
slump, like
slumped it.
slump,
And
slump.
I was like, and I slumped him, and I was like, that was the moment that I was like, yo, they're fucking. She is their tour manager. Like, yo, this MOP is the realest fucking group in rap fucking history. Like, yo, the tour manager that's a woman is like willing to throw hands and has hands.
He's
You
like,
know what I'm
imagine
saying?
what they'll do.
Like, yo, imagine what they'll do. Like, yo, stay away from MOP. Like, yo,
Yeah.
like not stay away. Like, have respect for MOP.
Yeah.
Treat them with respect. You know what I'm
Billy
saying? Like,
Danze has like one of the most naturally terrifying rap voices of like all times, dude. Like you just, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just so like ominous. You're
yeah,
like, this dude will fucking kill you for sure.
yeah. No, I love MOP. I love
And
MOP.
they're like
All right.
the closest thing I remember when I was younger that you would hear that was like boom bap, but that was like had the like effect of like a metal song or something where you just wanted to start like breaking shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like to me, like I remember
Yeah,
that,
nah, absolutely.
or like Smooth
And
the
most
Hustler, like Broken Language was another. I remember when I used to hear that shit when I was younger. I used to want to just fucking
get
go
that
fight
extra
people.
bop in you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if you had it on your headphones, you was bopping extra hard.
Yeah, yeah. I was like
Bop.
looking for problems and shit at that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah. You're like, let somebody say some shit to me today. All right, so boom, so you got to this like okay, 93 till infinity era. Um, you said that's like 10, 11, but you start rapping around 12. So
Yeah,
like what so like you start rapping at around 12, that's like middle school, I guess. Like I guess I
yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
you guys have
I
middle
was,
school.
I when I started like rapping, like taking it serious was, you know what I didn't mention too was Wu-Tang was always like a constant for me when I started out listening to shit. Like I heard the Souls of Mischief first, and I really like that. But Wu-Tang, when I heard Wu-Tang when I was like around 11 or 12, that's when I started like rapping, was because of Wu-Tang. And I also liked around that time, I had a homie that was like, he was older than me, and he DJ'd and shit, and he listened to a lot of like underground shit too, like, you know what I mean, like,
Mm-hmm,
and he put me on to like not necessarily underground but like Gangstar and stuff. Like I really liked Gangstar,
mm-hmm.
but I think the main like spark of me starting to like rap was like definitely Wu-Tang Clan when I really got into them when I was like 12 or something like that, is when
Word.
I was like, I want to fucking do this is, I want to try to do this shit, you know what I mean? And then like after that too, when I got a little older, is when I got into uh like actual like underground, when I was in high school. I'm not gonna front, I've always been like this split between like, because I've always loved like Jay-Z and Nas and the Locks, and I loved in high school, I loved like Dipset and all the Rockefeller mixtapes and shit. But I also listened to like a lot of like Cannibal Ox, you know what I'm saying? And like fucking
Mm-hmm.
MHC and like backpacker shit and like Murs and stuff. Like I got into that because I had a homie named Ian, and he was like all into that shit, and he knew I liked hip hop, so we would trade CDs and shit. Like I'd let him borrow one, and then I would like borrow one and
You
peep
know,
shit. You know what I mean?
that friend is always so clutch growing up.
Yeah,
Like the
hell
friend that
yeah,
you trade
yeah, yeah,
fucking albums with and shit. I had a
yeah.
guy like that. I traded him my Flip Mode Squad album for no my the crew. It was crew. They were a group from the Bronx. They had that song, tonight we gonna rock it to
Oh yeah, I know that
smoke blunts all night long, all night long. And I traded him that album for the Flip Mode Squad album, and he's the one that put me on the Roscos, um,
Oh
uh,
hell yeah,
uh,
Roscoe's a
uh,
fire.
um, uh, what, damn, why can't I remember his first? Soul on Ice, right?
Yeah, that was
Was
his
his
first
first
album. Yeah,
album.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He put me on a Soul on Ice, and that was like what sparked like from there my like love for like Liquid Crew and
Did
Exhibit and
did you fuck with the Far Eye and shit too?
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
Far Eye was
yeah,
fire as fuck too. I remember he was
yeah.
part of that little circle and shit.
Yup,
Hell yeah.
yup.
But yeah, that Soul on Ice album's fucking crazy. I remember that song, Anything Goes, the Big Bank Take, Little Bank, Anything
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fucking jam right there.
Yeah, not a lot of not like his album. The album didn't actually like do well in New York in the market. Like it didn't really
No,
play on the radio at all. But that one song did play a couple times on like late night radio and shit. Like Flex, I think,
yeah.
might have played that shit a couple times. You know what
I
I'm saying?
remember
Flex was always
the
weird.
Diamond D remix for Soul on Ice was like the one that I remember people fucking with the most off that shit. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
remix too, like not even the original one. Because the original Soul on Ice song has a weird ass beat. Like it's very like you know what I mean? Like some like very underground shit.
It's
And
like
then
Biggie with One More Chance.
yeah, exactly. It just needed
The one more the album version was totally like not one of the versions that people remember. Like
yeah, exactly.
I don't even like the word like not I don't like my favorite version of One More Chance isn't the version that everybody like. Mine is the quote unquote hip hop version, the pump pump pump
Yeah.
pump pump
Yeah,
pump
yeah.
pump pump. That's my favorite one.
Yeah,
You know what
that
I mean?
fucking
But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but the album version was totally like the beat was just not. It just didn't have like the radio, you know,
Yeah,
like
that's I
radio
like the
made.
one the original one had the same beat as the that Craig G song dropping science or whatever, right? It was like that sample
Mm-hmm.
and shit. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I actually like that version better too, but I'm more of like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm probably because back then I was like, this is the more hip hop version, not the commercial. You remember like back in the day when
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
there
yeah,
was
yeah,
like an
yeah.
actual
No,
like
of course. When it when you were when it was like very. I mean, when you're young, right? Like that's something that like I always tell people is like, yo, that is like when once you get to like somewhere between 16 to like 22, you just hate everything commercial. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And back in the
That
day, there was
becomes
like
like
actually an underground and a commercial
there
too. So it
was,
was
there
like an
was,
us versus
there
them type
was.
thing. You know what
But
I mean?
now it still happens. It's just like kids are like, oh, whatever is the thing that they end up blowing up inadvertently, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like whether it was like extentacion at one point or like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little peep or like all this shit is just shit that's their shit that they're like, man, fuck Drake and the radio. We're listening to fucking
Yeah.
insert here, and then that becomes the shit that ends up on the
Yeah. It's
radio
like the
because they
counterculture
blow it up
becomes
now.
like current culture, basically. Cause
Yeah,
that's how
nowadays,
yeah,
because it
yeah.
wasn't like that for us growing up back
No,
in the
fuck
days.
no.
It
It
was
was like I said,
like
it was like you're wearing like tall tees and Air Force Ones, or you got like a hoodie with a backpack full of records type shit. You know what I mean? Like they
yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember. But I know that I was like definitely in the middle of the two, like always, you know what I'm saying? Because like I always
mm-hmm,
like I said, like Cameron was on TV, and I've always loved Cameron. I've always loved Jay-Z. I've always like I remember back when I was in high school too, that's when like Rich Boy Throw Some D's came out. And like that's like one of my all-time
mm-hmm.
favorite songs and shit, which isn't really on brand with at the time with what I was listening to. Cause I remember I'd have homies who were just like raw ass hip hop heads. But I would also be like, you come to my house and I'm listening to like Rich Boy's new album, and they're like, what the fuck is this? You know? But also on the other side, like I'd go to parties or be at school and have my headphones on, and like a girl take your headphones on and see what you're listening to, and it's like C Ray's Walls or something, and they're like, what the fuck is it? You know what I mean? Like they're just like,
This,
I don't know
yeah,
what this
yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's
What?
like, like yeah, that was a cutty ass fucking. That's all I go. Like I used to hella fuck with the Def Jook shit in high school. I loved that shit. Like that
Word.
really avant garde weird shit. Like I think there was a
Yeah,
point though where it was like the weirder it could get. Like I was like trying to see what like I could never do like anti-con really like that too like far, but you know what I mean. But I definitely liked
yeah,
a lot of like the weirder shit when I was younger. Still do. I make a
yeah.
lot of music to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I went through a phase where, like, when I was a teenager, that, like, for me, the underground was like, when Cool Keith was making like fucking Black Elvis and like
Yeah.
fucking,
Like
it
Dr.
was in the
Octagon and
middle,
shit like that.
yeah, and it was in the middle of like Raucous coming to existence and Company Flow putting out their first shit, and
Oh,
like
Fun Crusher is the
Jean Grey,
that
uh,
that
uh,
that fucking Fun Crusher album their first shit is amazing. I ran
Yeah,
it.
I remember being into all that because I was at that age where it was just like, but I was also a weirdo because like you, right? Like same. I was into like back then in New York, it was the energy was very like for as much as we fucked like with Puffy and Bad Boy and how much like it played on the radio in the streets, the energy was very like, oh, don't like we're not gonna play that commercial radio
Yeah,
shit here.
exactly.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I
And
feel like
like
that's a term
and
you never
and
hear
and
anymore is like, oh, that
and
commercial
yeah,
shit.
commercial shit. Yeah, nah. And because it's all like the internet, like it happens in reverse, and like I think we've gotten to a better place. Like I think that there's still a lot of criticism that could be levied to the music industry, and like yeah, there's all sorts of things that are kind of fucked up about it, right? But like I also do understand the industry because I understand it's an industry. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like this isn't the fucking the Salvation Army industry. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the fucking music industry. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
So
like
it's about dollars and cents at the end of the day. And like
exactly.
I
Someone's got to
understand
make money if
business.
they're going to be spending
Yeah,
money on
like
it. You know what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
and I
So,
know not
but
everyone's
like
little niche project is, you know what I
right,
mean? It's just going to
right.
get money thrown at it.
So like I understand all that, but like I enjoyed I enjoyed Puff and like everything that he did. Like I was a big Bad Boy fan. Like I used to have a fucking Puff Daddy trading card in my fucking wallet,
Let's
bro. Because
go.
I admired him. I was like, yo, I want to be cool like Puff fucking Daddy. Like what?
Yeah.
Like I like and it's crazy to think, right? Because I'm growing up in the middle of this 90s in New York City, in the Bronx, like the birthplace of this shit. Like and like growing up watching all this shit happening. And I'm very in tune with the fact that like, yo, lyricism, being a real MC, this is how you get to be the best. The best MC is like I'm well aware of all that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I still end up with a Puff Daddy trading
Trading
card in my
card.
wallet because I was dead like, yo, this is like to me, I thought it was just really cool to be that cool. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like,
No, like
I
I
was just
fuck with
like,
that.
yo,
Like it was
like
like
what?
one day, motherfucker. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
And yeah, one day exactly. And so like I also had wild appreciation for this, like for the vibes for like 3 6 and for Cash Money, Master P before that, No Limit. I fucked with No Limit
yeah,
heavy from when I first heard Bout It.
yeah.
And that
That's
was
yeah. Fuck
pretty
yeah.
early on. Matter of fact, no, I fucked with them since I heard Ice Cream
Yeah, I
Man.
was gonna say Ice
And
Cream Man.
that was
Yeah.
before Bout It, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think Ice Cream Man was
So
like his first one. I think he might even
so
lived in the Bay still when he made that song. It was like before he went to New Orleans.
yeah, and I was into all that. Like the only thing I wasn't into was E40 because his style was so unorthodox that
Yeah.
like it just threw me off, and I was just. But then I ended up getting into like fucking like a lot of sick with it, artists and shit, and
Yeah.
like projects they had put out around like 99,
Yeah.
2000.
I
But
always
like,
say, dude, Be Legit from the Click fucking
yeah,
E40. That's one of the most
absolutely.
underrated rappers there ever was. That fool has bars. Like he's
Yeah,
just like the way like he's presented, you can't it's like the intangibles are so like what you're used to with Bay music, like you don't really notice how fucking good he is at rapping sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, but Be Legit's like
right.
one of my favorite rappers. He's a fucking animal.
Yeah, nah, he is dope.
Same
But
thing with
so
Mac Mill.
I could understand and appreciate, right? Like this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like that age is when we're all, very like still like anti,
yeah,
whatever, or but like there's always like like clearly like you're saying for me also like it was like a walking of the line because I was just like I'm into all this other
yeah,
shit that's
exactly.
like quote unquote like not the like real hip hop, but I'm like, I mean, seems real enough to me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
shit is
exactly. Shit.
fucking hard to me, dog. Like I don't know what you talking
It's
about, but
it's funny trying to
word.
like you have to like change masks around like certain groups of music heads too. You're just like
Yes,
it's like all
yes,
right, well, can't play Cannibal Ox today. I'm gonna stick to Dipset. So you know what I'm saying? Like
yes, yes, yes. I have a funny like lately. I've been catching up with a lot of like the OGs that like taught me how to freestyle and like took me under their wing and taught me like how to be an MC.
yeah,
And they were also like the OGs from the block that like put me on all sorts of things, and so like I tell this story to them that I'm like that I remember perfectly of back in the days. Like I had came to the trap where they was at, and that's where we all hung at, right? Like it wasn't called the trap back then, right?
yeah,
It
yeah.
was just the spot. Um, but like, um, but like,
To be known as the trap later, like
yeah, exactly, because
the
that's all
future
that
trap.
was happening there, right? Yeah. And so I came with a tape, and the tape I had recorded Funkmaster Flex and Stretch and Bobito over the
Yo,
weekend.
okay.
And
Could I ask you something? I was gonna ask you this. I was just like waiting for the time. As a outsider looking in, because I love Stretch and Bobito, but I like got into it like after the fact, and I had to like look for their shit. Did you listen
Right.
to Stretch and Bobito growing up?
Yeah, no, I got to listen live.
I
Like
envy you. I
we're
fucking envy
talking about
you
like,
to the most.
high school
Yeah.
like age. They were on the radio, like all the stories. Like if you're a fan, you definitely watch the documentary. I'm
Yeah,
guessing,
because
right?
music changed
Yeah,
lives. Yeah.
and yeah, and exactly how a lot of people describe it. Like, I mean, I didn't. Uh, I was in a school that like I had DJ Cool Kid, and before DJ Cool Kid, which was like Cool Kid was like a DJ that like before Cool Kid, he was the like that was like that sound of the name was his.
Yeah.
And he was like blowing up because he was DJing for like industry events and like I think he like did like DJing for like Sporty Thieves, which
Yeah.
like had no pigeons at the time. So like he was like pretty big, but like I went to junior high school with him, but at the same time, before him, when we first got there, like my like freshman year in junior high school, the seniors were like Swizz Beats was at our school, and
Oh no shit.
he was making DJ K Swiss mixtapes, and so like it was like my pause record tapes were like just not gonna cut it, with
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this type of with these dudes putting out tapes to like my friends and like my age group.
Yeah, yeah.
Like my pause play tape was not gonna cut it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah.
it's one of those things where like sometimes like I hear the stories of like in that documentary Busta, I think, tells the story of like going to school and like selling that like the
Yeah.
tapes of like the recording. And I'm just like, I did not have that. Like, though, like I already had DJs that were like kind of like making noise in New York City underground at like skate at places that are like legendary New York
Yeah.
City hip hop places that are like ended up being a part of what is the culture. And like it's just like that. Like I couldn't fucking get away with putting that out to my friends.
Yeah,
Like they would
yeah.
have been like, "What is this shit? Like, is this your pause? Like, bro, I need some scratches. Like, I need
You
some
couldn't
like,
compete. The market was too heavy back then and shit.
market was wild heavy like that. That's like kind of like the MO of growing up in New York City. Is like, yo, you're growing up in the city that like, bro, like KRS-One is like KRS-One, Big Pun, Fat Joe
Yeah,
are
yeah.
like these are like the names that like I have to compete with if I want to say I'm the best guy for my borough. But it's just like, bro, that's like wild difficult. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like impossible like odds. Like, and making it here is just like, yo, there's so many like great MCs on every block. I casually like I'm fine with saying that like I'm never the best MC anywhere I've ever lived in my entire life
Yeah, yeah.
because I live in the fucking Bronx, New
Well,
York
yeah,
City,
that's what
where
I'm
it's
saying.
just like
You literally
everywhere that I lived, I was in a neighborhood where it's
like
just like
living amongst like
like
rap gods and shit. Yeah.
right now, next door to me, down the block, Un P is from down the block.
There you
Like
go.
to name one of like the lower names. Like I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna name industry names. I'll name another like indie name, and it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like I can't even say that I'm the best on my block now, bro. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna be like,
He's
bro,
looking OP
Oomp
lives
is
down
from
there.
down the block, son. They're gonna be like,
That's hella
what? You're
funny.
not better than Oomp. I'll be like, yo, you know what? I'm not even mad at you. Like I'd argue it, but like, why? Like it's
Yeah,
I
it's hella
come
funny.
from
You're just always like, man, I'm never gonna be the best on the block. It's like it's fucking P, get out of here.
I don't even stress that shit. I'll be like, that's why I'll be like, yo, I live in my own world. I do my own thing. I'm not really competing with nobody. Like
Yeah,
I'm just trying to survive, guys. Like
that's
it's a
your
lot of the competition is
that's
thick
the
out
only way.
here.
That's the only way to have like fun with anything, anyways. If you're just not paying attention to what the fuck anyone else is doing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nah, big facts. I'll definitely have a lot of fun with the shit that I'm doing. But so let's get back to it. So you're junior high now, like Wu-Tang, all this stuff. You're rapping. What's the vibes? Like what where you are you rapping by yourself? Are you rapping in school? Are you
Um,
rapping
it's check this out. It's actually kind of funny. Like I was rapping with I had a homie, my homie Ian, he made beats. Like that was the dude I told you I trade CDs with and shit. He was
Mm-hmm.
like trying to make beats already, and I was trying to rap, and I didn't know anyone else who made beats. So, and he didn't know anyone else who like rapped in like the way that we liked. Like there was no other people like rapping like me around it, because where I'm from, it's like it's well now that's like culturally like there's a lot more, but back in the day when I was younger, it was just Mexicans and white people, and like so all the
Right.
rappers for here were like gangster rappers, you know, like there's like we have hella like cholos here and shit. And like a lot of the
Yeah.
rappers were like just, you know, gangbang rapping and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of the only cats who was like spitting, you know, like actually trying to like rap. I probably was trash, but like, you know, I was trying to do my thing and shit. But so I met this fool, and through that, I started like fucking with him, and we started like trying to make music and shit. But um, that's around when I was like at the end of like eighth grade, maybe. I think that's when 8 Mile came out, and hella people just decided they wanted to be battle rappers around that time. And around that time, I had already seen like Blaze battles, you know, and like I think a couple scribbles by that time. So I like understood battling on like a more actual competitive
Intricate
level.
level.
Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't from a movie, you know. So like I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
these dudes want to battle it, like you know what I'm saying? And then I was just like tearing for like destroying motherfuckers, you know what I mean? Like because they were coming in with
Word.
this like fucking 8 Mile mentality where you're gonna do this and it's gonna play out like this. And I was watching like actual battles, and I'm like, oh, like I know what to do right now. Like, and you start clowning like things and like stacking. Like I remember I was like already like kind of into multis at that time and stuff. So like I was like, you know what I mean? Like I was kind of ahead of the curve with the battle shit. And I was lucky because I had these like punching bags when I was younger that like built up my confidence to the point where I was like, I could do this battle shit, right? So after that, like after 8 Mile came out, basically, and I realized I was kind of good at battling, is it started my like around like that time, like 13, I think like 12, 13, like around that time is when I got like obsessed with like battle rap. And I know you probably remember back in the day, like the obsession you had to have to like not even just be a part of it, to like watch it. You had to like order
Yes.
DVDs and like wait for
Yeah,
months and
no,
shit like that. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And
I
like,
mean, it was different for me because I didn't get the internet. Like so, like I did miss out on that whole Scribble Jam and what's the 2-on-2s, the famous 2-on-2s,
oh, WRCs.
WRCs. I missed
Yeah,
out on all that because I
yeah.
was in New York City, where like I was surprised. I constantly tell people like when I first saw Grind Time, I saw SoCon versus Cortez, and I was offended. I was like, "Who the fuck are these motherfuckers?" I'm like, "You know how much work I've been putting in these streets, like battling, like at places, and I had battled
Yeah,
at Fight Club and like battled like fucking wild people. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I just was like not aware of what was happening on the internet. I was shocked to find out that there was underground in other places. I was like, there's an underground in like Minnesota and
Yeah, yeah.
fucking Chicago.
Dude,
There's underground. I was like in my head, I thought that like all the rappers that came out of those places would immediately get on. So like the only rappers that were from those places were like Twista and like
yeah, yeah.
3 6 Mafia and like the guys that were on in and rapping in the music industry. I had no clue that there was like
Like,
an
yeah.
underground, which it makes sense,
From
like
like a
right, like
Midwestern fucking type. No, like that I remember like even like I said, like back in the day, like when I found out about Scribble Jam and like finding out all these battle rap dudes were from like, you know, like St. Paul and Minneapolis and shit. I was like, what the fuck? Like I like I was like you in my head, I was like battle rappers are like New York dudes mainly, probably in my head, like dudes who like rap
that's
grimy.
what I
You
thought.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And then like when I started getting into, because I remember the first when I was younger, before I had the internet too, I went and bought the Blaze Battle DVD, the one where Idea one or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
then I bought another Blaze Battle DVD. It was like an older one, and it had like I'm pretty sure like fucking like J. Rue the Damages like battling on it or something. There's like an old like weird ass one with like random people battling. But specifically, I remember getting there was this like random record store that was like a town over from me. This place called Gilroy. They had this record shop called Music for a Song, and in there, the dude who worked there was like randomly into battling. So he would order battle DVDs for himself, but you know, you had to order like probably a certain amount. So he had Brainstorm and like Blaze Battle and like random battle
Oh
DVDs.
wow.
And I got
Word.
lucky. Like I literally got lucky with that shit. And I bought all three of them. Like so, like I said, by that time when like 8 Mile came out and shit, like I was already very familiar with like battle rap. And then when I was in, I think like a freshman or a sophomore in high school is when my parents got the internet, and that's when I started going on like I found like you know, like mcbattles.com and shit like that, or like rap music, the forums, and like started actually finding, or actually I ruined my computer trying to download battles on like Kaza and shit, like you know what I'm saying, LimeWire and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
It'd be like
yeah.
Eminem battles, whoever, and you're like, oh, okay, and it's just a fucking virus. It's like just ruin your dad's computer trying to watch an Eminem battle or some shit.
uh,
It's like,
I know. I know those days.
yeah, but like so, but yeah, like around that time, I think after like I said, like around 8th grade and going into high school is when people were just trying to battle for some reason, and then that's when I like started getting obsessed with it in like a sense, because I kept just killing these kids, you know, and it just started like making me more and more confident in it, to the point where I was actually practicing freestyling and all the time, and like in my head I was like, I'm gonna get to scribble jam, I'm gonna do this, that, and a third, and then like you know what I'm saying, like so. But I didn't actually, I probably just battled like cats at high school and stuff. Through high school was just like I never got into an actual tournament of any kind or anything until I was probably like 18. Like I was just, you know, I was just dragging people at parties like through high school and shit like that.
Word. At the function, at
Yeah, yeah.
parties,
Yeah, you know
at
what I'm talking about.
school.
Before it was like a,
Right.
you know, you if you heard someone else rapped, you would like tell him to battle me then, and then I'd go fucking battle that and just like drag people. Like I said, but though it was kind of unfair because these people would like not really understand the ins and outs of what a battle was, and I had like all of this like basically inside information from watching these DVDs where like I could apply it to like against a person who doesn't know how to fucking battle, and I was just like punching bag these kids and stuff, you know what I mean, like
So, but you're battling at school. What and but were you already you and your man that was making the beats starting to work on music back
yeah.
then?
We
Also,
yeah, we had a group called Backwards Logic, because he was his I was Reverse Live already, and his producer name was Sense. Well, Dep TDB, but he went by Sense first, and when we made the name, so it was like Backwards Logic was like the flip, like the
fat.
antonym for both of our names, you know. And we made
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know how to describe. It was like very like jazzy boom bap type shit, but I had a very like grimy flow over it, so it was kind of like juxtaposed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of cool for like for how old we were. It was really dope. You know what I mean? I think I still have
Word.
a couple of the CD. It's not like on platforms or anything, but like I know I have a couple of the CDs like around somewhere and shit.
I
You know what I
feel
mean?
you. I
Yeah,
have some CDs of me and my boys' first
yeah,
ever
yeah.
like
The
mixtape that we ever put out, and it was just like us rapping over other people's beats because we
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have
Oh, I
like
definitely did the
really
mixtape
much
thing too.
access. But you know, we like it's just the first project ever, right? Like you still have that. Like if you really do this shit like that, you more than likely have copies of your first project. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
no,
saying?
definitely. It's like the world don't need to hear it, but I could go back and listen to it sometimes and shit. You know what I'm saying? Fucking
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny too, because I know back then, like you were probably the same way when you were making this shit when you were a kid. You're like, oh, I'm about to be on with this shit, and then like you go
Yeah,
back
yeah,
and
yeah.
listen
Of
to it now,
course.
you're like,
What
what the fuck was
they?
I thinking? It's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I had essentially it was before that. It was like my demo, like uh recordings that like I'm like this was like a horrible demo. But like also there was also like things I'm like, was it though? You know, like for the time, like I'm like for the
yeah, because
time,
if you
it
consider
was
how old
very
you were and how
for
much
the time.
experience, like
You know what I
if
mean?
you, yeah,
I had what I called like my Method Man song, right? So like I had a song where like I was spelling out Dutch Vega
Yeah, yeah,
and just fucking braggadocious raps, you know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? And then like I had a song about like fucking like hip hop being like me being like number one fan of like hip hop and
Yeah,
shit. And
the
like and like
the classic fucking ode to hip hop song and shit.
ode to hip hop
Yeah,
song and shit.
dude, I
Classic ode to hip
remember
hop
back in the
song.
day when you were making like a tape, like it was like there was like a criteria
That's
you
just
had.
like yo, that is just like exactly that is just like yo, it's all so cringe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You're like, well, you
But
have
that's
to
like
have the
in
clutch on.
retrospect. That's like in retrospect, right?
Yeah,
Like I like for the time, right? I don't think that I even did like a club song. Like it was all like, nah, let's keep this like
yeah,
realistic
yeah,
and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm lyrical and from the Bronx and
yeah.
I think there was a Bronx song on there. You know what I'm saying? So like
That's
there was
yeah.
the natural like song about your hometown and shit, huh? Like the good old hometown song, huh?
Yeah, dude.
Um,
That's hella
but you know,
funny.
like when I listen to the songs, I'm like, yo, those songs are really not bad at
Oh yeah,
all for the time. Even like I'm like, yo, I'm wow proud of like where I was compared to like a lot of the homies that I know like like yo they might have been dope but like they just never took it serious or just
yeah.
never
You just
never
had like
dedicated themselves or they just didn't understand music also so like they had like 3,000 bars and like zero fucking hooks you know
yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm saying and like that was something that like got discovered early on at like sessions was like when we're making music was like, yo, I kind of was like really good with like hooks, you know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of came naturally to me. And like the homies were just always like, yo, that's a fucking great hook. Like it was always like, yo, that's a like, yo, that's the hook. You're the that's the
Dutch was
hook.
the
You're
you
the
were the hook
fucking
guy. It's
you're
like
the hook. Yeah, yeah. I was the hook guy. So like uh I just was a little bit more advanced, like in understanding of music, right? Because like I was studying it as music more so than like studying it as like each MC like and like imitating them and like trying to get that good. You know, like to me it was like, yo, the whole music thing.
I thought it was
But
hella
so
funny. You said the thing about the 300 bars guy because there was always the guy in the crew when you tell him to show up with a 16, and then he want to spit for like 2 minutes when everyone else just got 45 seconds and shit like that.
yo,
So the beat
yo,
ain't
there was
that long,
always
dog.
that guy that just did not like, yo, the beat is not that long. And it's just like, yo, you just cut off wild people. Like, yo, there's other people in this cipher, bro. Like, we're all waiting to spit, man. You're so greedy. Like, you're so inconsiderate. Like, why wouldn't you, what up, Pixie?
Why did you
You
think
know what
this
I
would
mean? Like,
work? To be ashamed of
you know what I'm saying? Like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Don't know how to count bars, guy. I was the don't know how to count bars guy for
yourself.
a second.
It was like that was
Yeah,
actually me.
that was actually yeah. Nah, but then luckily the OGs took me under the wing and like taught me like counting bars and like counting bars was like a pivotal. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
when you learn that shit, that like that makes you so much better of a music, especially as a rapper. When you
hmm
understand bar counts, like it just opens up the whole fucking like what you could do as a rapper in general. Like even as like no matter what you do, like if you're fly or lyrical or whatever, if you understand bar counts
hmm
and what you could fit in a bar, it's like that I'm pretty sure for anybody that's like a very like oh that I could this is how this works okay you know what I mean like it
yeah.
like maps everything out and shit. Oh
So high school's done with you. It sounded like you got into your first battle right after high school because you said like
yeah
18
yeah like when I basically I was
was
like
your first.
yeah my first ever battle that I did on stage was I think my like that well because I remember my first like tournament stage battle I ever did was this thing in Santa Cruz. Oh, you know what? that's who the first cats I ever met was. I met Joe afterwards at the Scribble. No, I might be tripping. I think I went to the Scribble prelim first, and then I went to this fucking this one in Santa Cruz, and I met Tantrum and Illusion Z at that one and stuff. But I started going to battles immediately after high school. When I graduated and I was like 17, like I think like 17, 18, I
Was
started
it that you weren't? Why weren't you doing it before though? Like,
I
was
just
it like
I pretty
did
much
you
just
not know that they were doing them
yeah, I
right
was
there?
just unaware pretty much, you know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't
Uh,
like a big like internet person until I was like probably like a like senior in high school. And that's when I started really going on rapmusic.com and like talking to people and finding out like where the battles would be. And like that's through doing that is like it was just kind of a timing thing. Basically, I happened to be like 17, 18 when I started hearing about like that Santa Cruz one. I did the Scribble one, but when I really started like catching on was when I started going to Tourette's every month. When I started doing the Tourette, you know, I'm sure you know about like Tourette's Without Regrets in
mhm,
Oakland and shit.
mhm. Yeah,
Like,
nah, I've definitely heard of.
yeah, so I started doing that, and like if you know about that shit, like then you know like the Saurus battled there, fucking Subverse, Tantrum,
Hmm.
Madness moved to the Bay and started battling there when I started going there and shit. So like you know what I'm saying? Like there was a lot of like dudes who would later on become like staples that were battling freestyle still. And I was and you know it's crazy. It was like a lot of people know like I'm 33 now, but like when I met all these fools and shit, like I'm like I was the kid, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like 18 and shit, like I in battling fucking, you know, like Madness and Tantrum and all these fools like on like freestyles and stuff like that. So and I was like
Crazy.
doing well too. Like I was beating a lot of them. So they were kind of like, all right, well, we're gonna take like I remember the way I even got into grind time was one when Lush battled Unorthodox Phrases, he fucking just had got back from Florida and he went to Tourette's, I think, like that following day or that it might have been even after he got off the plane. And I beat Tantrum that night on stage. And he was gonna start Grind Time West Coast. So he was just like
Damn,
he
dog.
was
You beat
he was
Tantrum?
yeah, yeah. I've beat Tantrum actually I've beat Tantrum twice on stage and once on grind time. I have like his number. And it's funny too because he's good at freestyling, you know what I'm saying? Like I just always like
Hmm.
snuck by him, you know what I mean? Like cuz I've never just like bodied him. I've always like snuck by him, you know what I mean?
Edged him out.
Yeah,
Edged him
yeah.
out.
I've always edged him. I've never like cuz he's nasty. Tantrum's a fucking
Yeah,
real
nah, like that's why I'm like that's why I said it, like because
yeah.
Tantrum is, you know what I mean? Like he's dope.
And
Like
he was
he's
like a monster freestyle like dude back then too, like at Tourette's especially. And I had beat him that night, and I just got lucky that Lush was like in the crowd, and he was gonna start Grind Time West Coast, and he just came up to me after, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna start this fucking thing. Like I want you to be in it." You know what I'm saying? And you know what's funny? The
yeah,
first person I battled in Grind Time was fucking Tantrum. Like it's like he
that's
watched me
crazy.
battle Tantrum at Tourette's and was like, "Okay, we're
He
gonna
was
run
like,
that
"Yo, let's
back."
make that happen again. Run
Yeah,
it back.
we're gonna run that back on my camera. So yeah, but yeah, so that's pretty
Circle
much
the
how I
block on
even
that."
got involved with the Fresh Coast shit was just by chance of like Lush being at Tourette's the night I was doing good. You know what I mean? So like
That's
he kind of
crazy.
just like swooped me up off that shit pretty much. You know what I mean? And like
So
I had
like,
been, what's up? Go ahead.
nah, I was gonna say, so like 18 years old, like
Yeah, I was 18
uh
at that time. Yeah, and I
must have
remember
fucking felt that must have felt good though.
yeah, no, because that was
Like,
like I said in high school, my like obsession it was hip hop and battle like rap. That's what I was like actively seeking out, like or trying to like learn more about and stuff. And then I go like immediately to like battling with dudes that I was watching footage of and doing well. So I was like, I think at that point too, that was when I realized like, okay, like I could do this shit because I've watched this dude get like make a crowd of thousands of people go crazy, and I just beat him. You know what I mean? So like that, I
right.
know I could probably fucking do this shit. So that's what. And also the thing that was appealing about grind time is I've always been a writer. Like I've always been like I could freestyle, but I've always been much better with a like pen. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Hmm.
very good at writing, and I also grew up like a lot of the shit that I was watching during that battle time. Uh I loved Fight Club a lot. And I remember the fucking what were the ones that had like the Philly dudes like rapping like was it Street Status or
Street Status, I think so.
I
Yeah,
think where
Street
they
Status.
had the Philly dudes like rapping in front of the cars and shit like that, and they would have like you know what I'm saying, like or like fucking the old Reed Dollars footage or what was that like
Mm-hmm.
Slaughter Rico and dudes
Uh,
like that and shit, like you know what I mean, like a lot of the old
mm-hmm.
like kind of like they were Smack DVD dudes, but like it wasn't quite Smack
Yeah,
yet.
there was a lot of adjacent. There was a
Yeah,
lot of
I
cocaine city DVDs. There was so many. There were
yeah,
so
so
many.
a lot of
Like,
the
and they
ways.
were busting out of everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Like, and I used to just buy those whenever I'd see them anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's
Hmm.
what, like I would just be into that shit. So like through that shit, the way that I wrote was like like structured more like that, but it was more of like content wise would be like I guess more like like artsy or strange. Like I've always had like a grimy shit with like really like reference heavy stuff where it's like if you're nerdy, you'll catch what I'm saying, but if you like grimy shit, you'll fuck with it too because I'm saying like wild shit, you know? So, but
Yeah,
as a freestyle battler, you don't really get to do that or express that much, especially in Cali, because in Cali, you can't back then, like it, you know, that was one thing I always wanted, like for us that became a thing was like I would watch these like DVDs of like Fight Club and stuff, and these dudes were just spitting their best verses at each other. And I wanted to
right.
do that. Like that's what I wanted to do. But
Word.
in Cali, it was like if you spit writtens in a freestyle or in a battle, you're trash. You know what I mean? Like fools
Yeah,
did not fuck with you if you weren't freestyling. So I was like forced to freestyle and sort of accommodate where I was from, even though I wanted to do this other shit. You know what I'm saying? And even in when I
yeah,
got put into grind time, I was like hyped because I was like, fuck yeah, I get to like rap like how I've wanted to because I get to write. But even then, I still had to like cater to very like Cali, like getting because like back in the
crowd.
day,
Right.
you didn't really fucking consider the footage either because you were still going off crowd reaction because that's what you thought
Hmm.
won battles like at that point still,
Hmm.
you know. So I
That
was
was what it was back
yeah,
then.
exactly. So I would have things written where there were impressive like structures or punches and shit like that, but I would also revert to roasting or like you know like dick jokes back then and things I would know that would make the
Right,
crowd
right,
laugh
right.
when I really just wanted to be rapping like how I do now basically back then and like I don't think it was even until like 2000 like 13 14 when I fully just got to like rap how I've always wanted to when like the you know what I mean? Like the style from before kind of had faded out, and the people who only could do that faded with it. And I was like, oh well, I
Right.
could do this other shit. So like, you know, like I'm still on, you know what I mean? So I finally got to like
Yeah.
do what I wanted to with battle rap like way later, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I but when I was younger, like doing the fucking like when I was like out of high school, like 18, whatever, like I was doing Tourette's freestyle and shit like that. Like I was trying to go every month and find whatever I could, you know what I mean?
Word. So it was, and those were in the Bay, right?
In
In
Oakland, yeah. I would
Oakland.
primarily battle in Oakland. That's almost like exclusively where I battled from like fuck, probably for like 4 or 5 years till I think the first time I battled out of state was Florida when I went to Grizzlemania. That was like the first time I got flown anywhere to battle.
Word. But
And I was
that's still like,
19. Yeah. And I was
wait, you're
19.
talking about Grizzlemania 1 or 2?
One. I went to two, but
One.
I didn't battle at two, but I was there. But I battled at one. I battled rugged at one. But yeah.
That's like this. There's like, come on, like what we're talking about, like you said, right? Like these are all wins. Like you got
Yeah, exactly.
flown to Grizzlemania
Yeah, yeah.
to participate. You know what I'm
And
saying? Like
being like a 19-year-old kid who's like never like even been anywhere in my
at
life.
19 years
Yeah.
old,
And they're like,
that
we're gonna
you've
fly you
never
to
been
Florida. And I'm
nowhere in your life. Exactly. Keep on adding on.
yeah,
Like, you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, and they're flying you on a plane,
Yeah.
putting you up in a hotel. You know what
All
I'm
that shit.
saying?
Hell
Like
yeah.
all that shit, holding
Dude,
you
I
down, I'm
remember
pretty sure.
at that time too, I was 19, so I couldn't drink yet. But in Florida, they just didn't give a fuck. And like everywhere I went, they would like serve me beer and shit. So I was like, you know what I mean? Like I was like a kid just like with a beer at the bar and shit. I was just like, man, this is the shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is my first time out of the state. Like, and I'm like drinking at a bar at a rap event that I'm performing at and shit. So I was like, this is a good first little
this is
trip. You know
this
what I'm
is
saying?
this is this is life, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
yo, how much better can life get at this moment? Like,
Yeah,
yo,
no.
that's honestly like I can't think of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would trade in having been on tour with Prime Ignite and them for having had that opportunity back then. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's definitely one of those moments, like, you know, when you think back on like moments in your life where you're like, I'm gonna remember this shit. Like that's definitely
yeah,
one that I could like vividly just like put myself back into because I like recognize what was going on at the time. You know what I mean? Like that was just like a cool ass fucking specifically like the first day I was there too, because I remember at the time I was like a big fan of Topper, you know, like remember Topper, the
mm-hmm,
and I really
mm-hmm,
liked his
mm-hmm.
music at that time of the album he had out. And me and him got really cool like on that like trip because I think we were in the same hotel together, so we were kicking it and shit. And that night he was like, "Hey, do you want to like hype man for me?" And I knew that whole album like I've been listening to it. So the first night I was there, that fool like let me fucking hype man for him like at this fucking like hookah bar that was serving us sake and shit. And like so that was another like check, and he was like letting me rap on the spots that had features that weren't there, so I got to like spit like little like verses I had and stuff, and like you know what I mean. I was just in Florida like performing with this dude that I had been like listening to for the last few months, and I'm doing his songs with him and getting to rap over these beats that I've been listening to and shit. Like it was just a dope
Word.
trip. Like
Now that sounds dope.
yeah,
Pixie in the comments said Topper just released a new album. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
I was
Topper
just
out here.
I just he sent that shit to me before it came out. That shit's fire.
Word, word. Now that's dope though, right? Like think about like the fact that you're meeting your heroes. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
like
legitimate.
getting to spar with them and hang with them. You know what I'm saying? Like and
That's
be
one
considered in the
but
same league as them. You know,
till
like
this day I always spar with the Saurus because I remember when I was like young, me and him sparred one time, and I remember in my head I just thought that was the coolest shit ever. So every event after that, I'd go find Pete and I'd just be like, "Hey, you want to spar?" Just to like, you know what I mean, just to like keep it going and shit. And now it's like a mutual thing. Like whenever we see each other, we're like, "All right, well,
that's dope.
he'll like walk up to me and like not even say shit. He'll just like start his first round, like you know what I mean,
Start
like
rapping.
yeah, he'll just
Word.
start rapping his round because like I already know what time it is and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's dope though. That's dope. That's good. That's dope that you get to have that relationship, right? Like
Yeah, no,
there's
that's literally
like
was like a Michael Jordan esque person for me watching battles growing up, and now like that's like
right.
a really good friend of mine and shit. And it's that's legitimately trips me out because I watched so much the Source footage before I like knew him and stuff, and like to even know like how cool I am with him now is a trip to me. Like considering like I was
Yeah.
this 17-year-old kid like just thinking he was like the best freestyler on the planet and like, oh, I want to get that good one day. And I fucking battled the guy too, and I did well. So that's another, I
Or
guess, more another check
like
off the bucket list,
another
unexpected bucket list.
hmm
Look at
another notch in the belt, another
yeah, yeah.
motherfucking stripe on the stripe on the shoulder. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
Another like another the real gem is like another story to like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And like knowledge gained from the situation and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure that it forced you to think in a way that you might have not had thought before,
Yeah,
or like,
definitely.
you know, like unlock another level of like, you know,
It makes
uh
things seem like way more attainable like when they're happening like that, you know what I mean? Because you're like, well, I got to this level, like well, can I get like let's see if I can get to this, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like
yeah,
it's like that like make you like realize like, oh, you know what, like I can do more with this shit, or you could like, you know what I'm saying, you could unlock more levels if you fucking like believe you can, basically. Or if you, and then, you know, like I'm not gonna lie, you got to be pretty good at what you do, but you know what I'm saying, like
no, you do. You do. You do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not like not everybody. Also, like just not everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like we've all seen it happen where like there's wild guys that like we all thought was like nah, he's wild nice, and it
Yeah,
just didn't ever
yeah, and they
translate
never happened. Yeah,
to grind time, and then grind time there were guys that like were dope, and it's just like they just didn't adapt to the era that would came
like the times.
after,
Yeah,
you
because there's
know.
definitely fools like I was saying, like Hami Ham. That was a dude I would have loved to see like keep going, but I think like the shift of the like the paradigm of like what a battle is like kind of like left dudes like that behind because and not even because they couldn't keep up but like they just like what they did was less appreciated by the fan base, you know what I mean? Like because me personally I still would like love to see dudes like that rap, or you know what I mean, there's like certain things that certain people do that I appreciate, but I know they won't thrive in battle rap just because the fan base doesn't like appreciates like what they have to offer anymore. You know what I mean? Which sucks,
Yeah,
but it is what it
yeah.
is. I mean,
It's that's battle rap, like
yeah,
we were talking about earlier, right?
fleeting,
Like the
yeah,
fickleness, like the fleeting and the fickle, like,
yeah,
and sometimes we've seen people like leave. I think that there's like a certain amount of like it takes something in you to really be able to like have it, lose it, then come back and have it again.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Because
that
there's
that
like,
that come back and have it again. That shit is hard. Like
yeah,
that there's a lot of like I think there's a lot of ego work you got to do.
yeah,
That I don't
and
think that people understand.
and
That
battle
you got
rap
to
is
go through.
definitely like a mode too. Like you know what I know
Yeah.
like it's like a mode you have to be in. And if you take yourself out of that mode, I know like personally, like I've gotten to points where I just worked on music and not thought about shit for like when I was in bands and shit, like I was like not thinking of battles. Like I didn't battle for like a year and a half. And then I remember when I came back and I battled Double Deuce for KOTD. That was like my first KOTD battle, and I remember I low key like forgot how to battle. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, damn, okay, well, and like if you watch that battle, like I used a lot of like mixtape verses in that battle, which actually ended up being kind of like a shift in my brand because people like liked it. They were like, "Oh, this shit's tight. Like I like this just rapping shit." So there was like a big chunk of time after that where I would just kind of show up with mixtape bars and just like rap at fools. Cause like I said, bro, like I low key forgot how to battle or do shit like that until recently. Like I recently just got back into writing like angles and attacking people directly and shit. Like I had a good like 4 year stint where I was just showing up with shit that I had in my books, you know what I mean? And like I'd have a couple
Yeah.
name flips and personals, but like for the most part, it was just me rapping well. And like people liked it, but I saw when it started to get like a little more like a kind of a one trick pony type thing is when I reverted back to like, all right, well, let me try to do this shit again. And then I like mixed the two together, and that's kind of what I'm working with now.
Word. I mean, now is like, I think arguably like this is like you're reaching a new level of like,
Yeah, this is
uh
definitely in terms of battle rap, like the best I've ever been for sure. Like in terms of being
right.
able to punch and rap well, but also I've learned how to like, I guess, mix angles with punchlines. Like I don't know how to describe it, but like I've always been good at like thoroughly describing flaws about people, like character assassinations. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
it always comes
Mm-hmm.
around across very like scornful, and I'm like talking to you like me.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I've learned how to take that and throw punches into that where it has the same effect of like I'm talking to you like seriously, but it's also has like triggers for the crowd to go off because I'm throwing little like entendres and shit that describe the same point I would try to make
Mm-hmm.
before just telling you you're a piece of shit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so like I've kind of just learned to like work out the kinks to where the crowd's gonna like the angle I'm taking and I'm not just like being mean, you know what I'm saying? Because like I definitely had times where people were just being like, yo, you're talking to him, but it's like a little too much, you know what I'm saying? Like you're just being mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah.
Word. That's you, or that's what you feel like the response has been. Because like, I mean, it's gotta be like a argument for the other side, right? Like I'm pretty sure that there's like people that are also like, oh, no big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I like the foul shit. Like, I've always been like that's part of what like I loved and appreciated about Cam early on was like the level of like like disrespectful shit that he would say. You know, like I remember on Bitches Ain't Shit freestyle, Cameron said something about something about nothing in the condom and making her swallow it and shit. I was just
I
like,
know what you're talking
word,
about.
like fucking Cam.
Cam
like,
has like a whole lot of shit like that. Like
whole lot of shit like that. That it was just like.
I fool made a song called like where the chorus is, "Are you gonna suck it or not?" So you know that's the type.
True.
That's the time.
True.
That's the type of
time he is on, right?
Yeah, he's on the demon time for sure.
My fault. Gotta change headphones.
Oh damn! You got the on deck headphone switch like that? That's crazy.
Yeah, I got two. I got two.
Like a gunslinger with them.
I got two sets
I just
of
saw your hands disappear and they had new headphones.
Nah, that ass need it for work and shit. So like a majority of my like work is like on the phone and making phone calls and talking to people. So like, gotta have wild.
I would have been asked out. Like, my ass would have been like, "Oh, my headphones out. I don't know." Like, I ain't got shit out.
Nah, I got the other set right now, and now the other set that I was wearing is nice and charging. You know what I'm saying? And,
never gonna stop.
The switch off never ends. You know what I'm saying? Not till the end of the night when I like put them away and shit. So let's get back to it. So you're essentially saying there was no college years, or were there college years?
No, I didn't. When I got out of fucking school, I was like, rap time. It's fuck college, fuck everything. I'm rapping. That's
rapping full time.
I pissed my parents
what did your parents?
Very much.
I was gonna say, what did your parents say about that?
They were not happy about that shit, dude.
They were not happy about that shit.
No, not at all. They, I actually, I tried to go to junior college because my parents were like pushing for like a higher education, but I went for 2 semesters and just dropped out. Like I was like, I don't want to be sitting in a room listening to someone tell me about math when I'm like just want to be like rapping. And I like literally I was like, I'm just gonna go get a job and save up money for recording equipment. And I almost wanted a car so I could go to the Bay and battle. Like everything I wanted to do was just based around rapping, like what I could do to support my fucking, you know what I mean, like my pipe dream essentially. And it's funny too because my parents acted like I joined the fucking circus when I like told them I wanted to like rap and shit. They were, you know what I'm saying? They were.
I mean, that's what it feels like, you know. Like,
they were so, like, not about it. Like they're like, what the fuck do you mean you're gonna rap? I'm like I rap because I've been rapping for like 2 years, like not even 2 years, like years and years, and they didn't really know like that I rapped, you know, because I never came home and was like, yo, I battled this motherfucker today and dragged his ass, you know what I'm saying? Like so when they found out I rapped, I was like, it was like weird to them. But then I remember my dad first, one of his friend's daughters told their dad that like I was like good, you know, and then their dad told my dad, and like he was like told my mom, he's like, I actually heard he's pretty good. And my mom just thought like it was dumb like forever until I think like one like third or like whatever the grind time battle was, I forgot which one it was. I think it was my Diz battle, and I showed her that like it was on like World Star Hip Hop and it had like millions of views and shit. And I was like, I was like, look at that shit. Like, you know what I mean? And she was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like, you know what I mean? Like she tripped out on that. I was like, "I told you I could do this shit." You know what I mean? Like, and so after that, she saw that like not necessarily it was like gonna make a career for me. Cause I'll be honest, like I always had a job. Like I was never afraid to work.
Right.
So they were never like really like big tripping on me because it wasn't
Yeah,
like
I mean, I've never met you in person, right?
yeah.
But I get the impression that you're like good, like 6 foot something. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm 6'4", yeah.
6'4". You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like you don't look like you weigh 150 pounds. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like that's my weight class. It's close to my weight class. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, yeah.
you're big boy, son. You better not be afraid of no work. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I'm
saying?
saying. Like, so
P.
I've always been down to like work too. Cause like also like I remember like graduating or even before that, like the things that I wanted to do with music or whatever, they required money. You know what I mean? So I was like, the
Exactly.
only way to get fucking money is to work. So I've always been like down to work and understood like the responsibility of getting my own money, you know? So like they were never like tripping on me too crazy with the music thing because like a lot of the time I was like supporting my own dream, you know what I mean? Like I was getting my own money, like I was putting my own saved money into what I wanted to do or studio time or whatever, you know? So like fucking they didn't really trip on it too much. And they really started to support me. I remember when I went to Grizzlemania and they're like, "Oh, what you're getting flown across the country to go rap?"
Flown across
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
world.
saying. Like they were like, they're flying you. They didn't believe that they thought I bought my own ticket and was lying about getting flown because they're
Wait, so hold on 1 second. Pause right there. Question: how was it growing up? Like you did say that like you were a latchkey kid and your parents did a lot of hours. It sounds to me like they were like worked really hard to
yeah,
like be able to provide and like put, you know what I mean, hold it
yeah,
the
no,
fuck
yeah,
down
they
as
definitely
parents
did. Yeah.
should. And that's solid. So like I would did but did you guys travel much on your own? Or was it more like, oh, they worked hard so that we could have the things that we did have, but we didn't
Yeah.
really travel much.
We
So
went,
like,
yeah, we never traveled out of state ever. Like the far, I remember they took the only two trips like we had when I was a kid. I went to Disneyland when I was 5, and we took my brother to Disneyland when he was 5, so I was 10. So that was like the two trips we went on. And
word,
you know what I
word,
mean? And like
right,
I think we went to like but like we didn't travel ever like I said because they worked a lot, so like you know what I'm saying, like they
right.
didn't fucking like I don't know, they didn't really have travel time. But my mom and dad definitely like did a lot of cool shit for me though, like you know what I'm saying, like they would take me
Right.
to, like the arcade, or they'd take me to fucking like I
The things
remember
that you actually, right, like that like
yeah,
we care, actually care about as
yeah,
kids,
exactly,
right?
they
Like,
would
because
like
when our parents take us to like certain places, like when we're really young, I feel like, I don't know, like Disney World is like, it depends on how
yeah.
into, right, like how
That's like
young,
one of those
like
like
I was.
novelty things you do, like right? Like they're just like, well, we're gonna take him here because that's where you take kids, you know? Like,
Because
yeah,
that's what they're told as Americans, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah, exactly.
you're told like you got to get a family, you got to get like a house, you got to get like, a car, you got to get like, you got to do these things, and then you go on vacation, and when you go on vacation, you got to go to Disneyland. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like this
It's
is
like
like the
basically what it
commercial.
was, yeah.
This is like the commercial for America that we're talking about
But
now.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
but
so.
like I remember they like we've done stuff like where we'd like go like spend like the night somewhere in like San Francisco, and then she'd take me to like the zoo or whatever. But like more so like my parents were really good at like paying attention to the things that me and my brother liked, and like
Mhm.
surprising us with things like that. You know what I'm saying?
From that, yes,
Yeah,
that's dope.
like if we were into wrestling, like I remember when I was a kid, like one of my like best memories I have as a kid was my parents got like a wrestling like WWF like room set, like you know, like wallpaper
Mhm.
and like bed sheets and shit. And I was passed out one night, and my dad came and like scooped me up out of bed and put me in their bed. And during the night, they switched my room to all wrestling shit and then put me back in the bed So when I woke up, my room was completely switched to a WWF
Oh, that's
room. You know what I'm
dope.
saying? And like
That's dope.
that was like as a kid, like one of my like,
Come on,
you know
son.
what I'm saying, like craziest memories. My bad. Someone was calling.
All good.
Yeah,
Happens.
but no,
Nah, that's dope though.
that was like a very, very dope memory for me. God damn. Sorry.
Nah,
Let me tell
some
you.
people, you know, they double call. You know what I mean? Like their response to you not answering is, "What do you mean you're not answering right now? I'm calling you right back. You better pick up this time."
I was like, I don't even know.
I think that's a natural instinct actually for some
it's scam
people.
likely, probably. The homie scam likely. But yeah, I think if you get declined twice, that should be a good indication that I'm not gonna fucking answer the phone. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
But
Like,
no,
yo, you
like,
gotta chill out. Not right now.
I was saying though, that memory with the wrestling room was like a good, like I said, we didn't like travel like all crazy stuff like that, like out of like have like, you know what I mean, do things like that. But they always were like very good about little shit like that. And like as a latchkey kid who had no problem being at the house all the time, they were like my mom would get me, like we'd go to Blockbuster and she, you know what I mean, like shit like that. So it wasn't like they were like, I don't know, like it wasn't like I had like a bad childhood by any means. Like they just worked a lot because, you know what I mean, like
no, I mean that's what it takes to like support a family in America. Exactly. You know, it's like both the parents work, and like chances are they're gonna work really hard because they have to. And then like there's rarely any time and shit. But like the fact that they did that, like that they took notice of the things that you were into and like would then like surprise you with things from that you like didn't necessarily need to even ask for and like to get, like, what? That's awesome. Like I think speaking for all the kids, like speaking for myself at least, out of all the kids that like didn't have that, I'm like, what? That sounds awesome. No, I would have loved to have that.
My
like
mom was really, really good at that. Like that.
I mean, I appreciate everything that my parents did because like my parents did do the typical, you know, we traveled a lot. Like we traveled to Disney World in Florida. We went to Virginia Beach. We went to the Washington D.C. and the D.C. Zoo, and we, you know, like, but they also didn't really like, you know, cater to my shit like that. Like I didn't get woken. I didn't wake up in like a room of like, you know, oh shit, like Transformers everywhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like a core.
Like what?
Memory.
That's incredible. That's like no, I would imagine like for kids, that's like absolute like yo, like dream come true type shit. Like this is the coolest shit ever.
When you get older and you like, and I'm thinking back to that, I'm just, and as an adult with kids now too, I'm just like, man, like that was crazy. They pulled that off.
It gives you a goal. It gives you goals to reach towards, and like an example to show you of like what to do. You know, because like you're like, wait a minute, I'm a grown ass man, and I still cherish this memory. And I still appreciate, like I appreciate them. Like the they were working so much part doesn't hurt so much when you get treated like that. You know what I'm saying?
Like, so that's what, like, I think a lot of it too was like, since they did work a lot, like that's why she and my dad made so much effort, like when they were like there and shit would fucking, you know what I mean? Like do things like that and stuff. Oh, thank you. But yeah, like the like I said, like that was like definitely a core memory of some shit like that, like from being that age and stuff. That's definitely like stuck with me. And especially like I said, like them like working a lot and being able to do that. And as an adult now who has kids that works a lot, like I'm like, damn, the fact that they could even like stay up at night and pull that off and shit, you know what I mean? Like knowing that they'll probably work the next day and shit. Like it lets you, it like as an adult, it lets you know like that it was probably a lot of effort put into that.
A lot of effort.
Because like
Yeah.
I'm talking like they had like wallpaper like that lined the top of the room, and like they went all the way the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, nah.
it was great. Or
I'm
I remember it that way anyway, like hella extravagant and shit. You know what I mean? Like my little
word.
like it's like 6-year-old brain or whatever the fuck how old I was.
No, I mean, like that's one of those things where, like, regardless of how much, like, I'm pretty sure that it was not like just like they changed your sheets thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, it
Like,
was
I'm
like the
pretty
whole
sure that it was a
thing.
little bit more elaborate than that. You know what I'm saying? So like anything past changing the sheets is already like, what are we doing here? Like, yo, we gotta go to work the next day. Like, we were
Yeah,
just at work
exactly.
all day. You know
So
what I'm
that
saying?
it
Like,
really puts into perspective like the amount of effort that went into that, and like even makes now like I was gonna like the point being like as you're older, you're like, damn, that was like even cooler than I fucking thought when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like, because
yeah,
you know how much work actually probably went into that and shit. You know, so
yeah, yeah. Nah, that's the shit those is the fucking those are the gems in life. You know what I'm saying?
hell
Like,
yeah,
and then now you taking it to your family. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I'm pretty
exactly,
sure that like your kids are gonna benefit from like your parents raising you like that.
yeah, definitely.
And so, but like to bring it back, also like that means that when you like get flown out to Florida for battle rap, they're probably like, "What?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah,
what? You flying places,
yeah,
kid? Like,
exactly.
our
Because
kid is like, our
that's
son is like flying places
yeah,
because
and
people are gonna pay for his flight to go somewhere
and
so that
she
he can
refused to
rap
believe
because
that.
like
Like she refused to believe. She's like, I know you bought the ticket because you want to go. You could tell me. And I'm like, bro. And I had to like show her the receipts and shit. Like, and like, cause Cap Callis bought me the ticket. And I was like, dude, look, like I did not buy this shit. The homie Cap bought this shit. Like he wants me at his rap event. They're flying me out. And she was like, I guess. Like she just like didn't believe.
Yo, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
On some serious, like, does brain does not compute. Like, I guess. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
your story seems to add up.
I
I
just
can't
still
believe
don't
you.
believe you. Yeah,
I just can't
yeah.
believe you. This sounds impossible. This is just unfathomable. What
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
Well, because
kind
like
of
they're gonna
tomfoolery are
fly
we talking about?
this white kid from Hollister to fucking Orlando, Florida to rap, and then like that just to her is just like, what the fuck are you talking?
No way.
That's not
She's like,
real. Like, you know what I
no way.
mean? And I was like, but after that trip, and I remember after that one, I got flown to Portland, or I was gonna fly to Portland, but I ended up like something happened with my ticket, but Avocados gangster ass drove from LA to Hollister and then from Hollister to Portland just so I could get to the battle. And like that's how I got.
Wait, he drove from LA to Hollister, Hollister to Portland?
Yeah, so that's like
That's on the way up then, right? Nah.
he like drove all of like California basically, and
Yeah,
then he
yeah,
went to
yeah.
Portland, and he just to get me to the event, and that's the first time
Wow.
that me and that's like Avo's like me and Avo are tight as fuck, and that's like because of that trip, like you know what I'm saying,
Right.
like at the time I knew him as the cameraman and we were cool and shit already, but off that trip, like we were in the car together for like 2 days, you know what I'm saying? Like back and forth. And we stayed in the hotel and like we were at the event together. So we were basically together for like 3 whole fucking days. It's just me and him, you know? And so like through that, like we just got hella fucking cool, you know what I mean? Like just off that trip alone. But that after that, the Portland one, when my mom saw me go to Florida and then Portland after that, she was like, would tell her friends, like, oh yeah, my son raps, he travels around and battles and stuff. You know what I mean? Like started bragging about me and shit like that.
Dope. That's dope.
Yeah, yeah.
That's dope.
Because now
So
she'll flex for sure. Like because now you know there's all this footage and all this other shit of me, so she don't mind fucking bragging anymore. You know what I mean?
yeah, now the views have accumulated now. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
So
saying?
so
Like the
yeah,
views, the
she the
views
proof's
are
in the pudding now. She doesn't have to like convince anyone, so it's all
she's
right. You
like,
know
yeah,
what
yeah. She doesn't even need you to, she knows your name. She's like, you can just Google my son. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah. You have the internet.
you
I don't
know?
have to show you. It's like, oh fucking talk about it. And it's just
Hilarious.
me yelling at someone who's like, I didn't like it.
Wait, is that her? Like, how do they feel about it then? Like,
Okay,
about
my dad thinks it's dope. My mom respects it, but she doesn't like
right,
the cussing and yelling and the threatening and all that.
right.
Because she has like a mom brain where it's like she doesn't understand like the
She's like,
nuance of the
this is
situation.
dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Like she just sees it for like a very like layman's terms. Like you're not gonna shoot him. Like why are you telling him that? You know what I mean? Like and then like she doesn't understand like you know what I mean? And my dad.
Yo,
That's like
parents is the best.
that's just like my mom's like mom brain just trying to register what the fuck I'm doing out there. But my dad fucks with it. Like he like I said, my dad's cool as fuck too, because when I got into hip hop hella heavy, like he made the effort to like go on my like playlists in my windows and like listen to things and like he'd pick out ones that he actually liked and he'd come back to me and be like, well, I like this one and this one, like trying to like learn hip hop so like he could like connect with me on it and shit, like being like you know what I mean, just being cool about it,
Right.
instead of being like this is ass, like I don't like, because he didn't like rap at all, but he made the effort to like find ones that he did like. He always, like I said, he liked Tribe, and when I got into Tribe, he would like borrow my Tribe CDs and my dad loves Tribe Called Quest, so that's like one of his fucking things. I
I
remember
mean, they're
he made he on our computer at the fucking house when I was younger. He made the fucking, was it the Midnight Marauders album cover as his screensaver on his fucking
word.
on his Dell.
That's
And then I
hilarious.
went out there one day and I came back in later and he was on some like, did you see my screensaver shit? You know what I'm saying? Like just trying to like see if I noticed. He's like, yeah, I'm down. I'm with the shit.
Down, cool, yeah.
Cool dad. Oh, cool dad.
Yeah, cool dad. Hilarious. Yeah, nah, I mean, Tribe is kind of like one of like the first, like people say like Run DMC is like the first like big, like crossover group that like gets like known everywhere. But it's like,
Yeah.
a lot of our parents and like that were of the age and like even later, like Run DMC was not like, that big,
Yeah.
like, or it just didn't register to them. Like they weren't into hip hop, so they didn't give a fuck less about a Run DMC or Beastie Boys. But like Tribe Called Quest was kind of like the first group, either them or like Cypress Hill.
Cypress Hill's a very transcending
Transcending,
genre
yeah,
blending
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like parents are aware of,
Yeah.
their music and kind of like are like, yeah,
Yeah, I can fuck
Cypress
with it.
Hill.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I like that.
I think
You
I was
know?
like we were saying earlier about like Tribe too. It's like less, it's like it wasn't like when I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to like fucking like Mob Deep or like
Wu-Tang or Mobb Deep, yeah.
or like something really
Yeah.
like abrasive, like it was like
Mm-hmm.
soulful and they were rapping about like, you know what I mean? They were just like rapping
Yeah,
about
if your parents
yeah.
come into like you listening to like Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah, exactly.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
It's just like your parents are gonna come in.
And you're like, what the fuck
What
is
is
that?
happening in here?
And then,
And
like I said, then Tribe has a song about losing your wallet at a restaurant, and my dad's like, talking. If I had a nickel, like
I'm mad if I had a nickel.
I can relate to that, huh?
Facts though, right? Like Pops is like, these boys are understanding the life that I have to live now. Like
he's like, I
my
have
problems.
lost my wallet at a restaurant, boys. Yeah, so like I know like that probably had a lot to do with it, but that was one of the things that he like made an effort to like get into so we could like chill in his like when I go out and talk to him in the garage or something, he'd just throw on Tribe and just be like, like cool dad, like I said.
Word. And so in the middle of the ascension of the battle rapping, right? Because like if you're already getting to travel at 19 across the country, right? And everything is going pretty well, right? Like were you still making music with your homeboy from high school, or were you starting to
At
were you
that
starting?
time, I always had made music. I was making music with my homie from high school, Ian. But I had another homie that I made music with. And when I graduated and was doing the battle shit, I was in a group called Stormtroop. We have a song on one of the Fresh Coast non-perishable albums. And me and him, I'd make music with him because he had a studio in his room. Like he bought a studio. So I would go over there and me and him would just make music like that. And I was dropping that shit during the grind time era. But after when grind time like died out, like you know what I'm saying, and it became King of the Dot, I had a DUI by that time because I was a little fucking knucklehead. So like I couldn't go to Canada when the shift went from grind time to King of the Dot, like I couldn't go to Canada. Like I wasn't allowed in Canada. So like I didn't really have anywhere to battle. So I started just doing music. And around that time is when I joined a punk band called Zombie Pool Party. And I was just doing punk shows. I was literally for like a year and a half just doing punk music and shit like that. And I wasn't really battling because there was nowhere for me to battle. You know what I mean? Until King of the
Word.
Dot came with like gave Lush like the King of the Dot Fresh Coast shit. You know what I mean? Like that's when I came back to battling when Lush brought me back for when he got a little piece of the King of the Dot shit.
How,
Like
how
when
long was that window? That window was like so you're saying from when grind time ended, or not when grind time ended, you're really saying when Lush
like Lush pulled the plug on our
pulled
shit.
the
Yeah.
on Fresh Coast,
Yeah, yeah.
because we in grind time East Coast still like we're here at grind time and or there at grind time, and we were very like 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 the all the weight of everything falls on us then, because
Yeah,
like at the
yeah.
time it wasn't like there was like any other division that was really competing with what you guys were doing. And then like we were kind of like essentially trying to compete with what you guys were doing. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like at least that's how it felt to me on my end. But we did also happen to have like a lot of great talent. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
no,
saying?
for sure.
We
Yeah.
had like the I think it's arguable, but I think that we had the second place division of like,
Oh no, definitely like
talent,
even off star
talent
power
low,
alone, like now, like a lot of the dudes that were in Grind Time New York are like
Yeah.
the you know what I mean staples to like what you would look even like URL like dudes like Cortez or Hollow the Dawn and dudes like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? Like those are
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like top god tier MCs within our
Yeah.
circle,
Yeah.
and they were from you guys. Like I said, as far as star power went, like you guys definitely were like in my I always like really liked the grind time East Coast shit. I was like kind of bummed I never got to go. And
Yeah, nah. It's unfortunate that I mean, well, like luckily, like things are coming back, and it sounds like Penn is working things out with Lush, so I'm pretty
yeah,
sure that
no,
they'll be like working hand in hand again,
yeah,
and
that'll be the
and
shit. I
that
just
that 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 crowd and vibe is like it luckily it's like it right we could never go back in time, right?
yeah,
But the vibe has been replicatable. Like
yeah, yeah,
it's been said at the KOTD tournaments when they do them in Jersey, like it's like all the grind time East Coast family in there.
yeah, yeah.
And like and like everybody's just like all of us see each other. We're like, oh man, it's like old times again,
Yeah, no,
guys. Like, yo.
this last GTX event with Satire being there and stuff, and like
Mm-hmm.
Dumbfounded came out, fucking
Yeah.
who else? No Can Do was there. Fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like Real Deal showed up, like Marv brought Quest. Like there was like I was looking around the room and I was like, man, like these are I've known all these dudes like decade plus. Like this is really cool to be like, same probably fucking feeling, you know what I'm saying? Like when you walk into a room
Right.
and you just get blasted back to like 2009 out of nowhere, you're just like,
Yeah,
what the
exactly. You're
fuck?
like,
Like, you know what I mean?
what? Like, look at us, we're all
Yeah.
grown up now,
Yeah, it's hella funny too. Like the conversation dynamics, how like what they used to be, and now you're like, oh,
Super
what you do?
changed.
So yeah, I just been watering my lawn, taking care of shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Like how many kids? Like, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Was you know, and like a lot of conversations of like, yeah, I've been, old people convos, right? So like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, I just finished binge watching like
Yeah, yeah. Off
enter
rip,
name
yeah.
here and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I've been spending my time doing is binge watching the shit that like, oh, believe me, like if I got a battle tonight, you're gonna hear it in the bars.
Yeah, you
You
just
know,
hear whatever I've been watching this whole time.
there'll be a lot of that. There'll be a lot of that.
But yeah, no.
Merch.
So basically, yeah, I guess like whenever Lush pulled the plug on our shit is kind of when I like ventured out into yeah, just like doing like alternative music and punk music and just like stuff that I always had listened to and wanted to try out. And I had been around that time, I met like I started hanging out with some dudes who had a band already. And
Mm-hmm.
like basically they were like, oh, do you want to like be in our band? And because they were very like Zombie Pool Party when I was in it, we started out as like a thrash punk like type thing, but we
Mm-hmm.
had like as we like made more music, it turned into that mixed with like I would rap in the band sometimes too, like on some rage type shit. But like I
Mm-hmm.
mostly did like I did do punk vocals or like sang kind of and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like so it was mostly purely like that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like I only rapped a little bit and but yeah,
That's dope though.
I didn't battle again until like Lush hit me up again. Basically, I think it was like I was like off, like not bad. And you know what? Actually, the first battle I'm lying. The first battle I came back to was a bots event when Dan started doing bots. Is when I came back to battle the BOTZ battleization.
Word. Yeah. Yep.
I think I battled Fredo, and like that was like the first time I had come back to battle in a while. You
And
know,
how many years break was that? Like, because like I'm trying to think back to like how long it took from Lush leaving to like G Grind Time dying out even after we left, and then Smack starting to like
I'm pretty
gain that
sure.
momentum, and then like KOTD was doing what they were doing, and then they gave Lush. So it was like what, like how many years was that? Like
I'm pretty
four,
sure like it was like yeah, three, maybe even two or three.
three,
Like yeah, it might have
two or
been
three,
three because I'm pretty sure,
three.
like I said, I know I think I battled in like a couple like before I went into the KOTD thing again. I'm pretty sure I battled in like a couple smaller leagues, like getting back into it. But like when Lush called me to do the King of the Dot shit is when I started like actively battling, like you know what I mean, like seeking out matches and like doing things like or like accepting offers. Because when I was in my band, I got like offered to battle at these like leagues and shit like that, but I just didn't have any interest in battling at the time. Like I just wanted to make music with my band and shit. You know what I mean? So that's just what I did for like yeah, like probably like 2-3 years, and then I started battling again.
Word. And now that you feel like when you had came back, it was like a little bit of rust. And
Yeah, definitely. That well, when I performed a little bit, but writing more so was like getting back into the like headspace to like go and just rip a fucker's head off like with raps, you know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? Like
mm-hmm,
I'm because I'm going from like working with a band and jamming and practicing and like structuring things and like so completely different way. And then
totally different.
yeah, and then you go back into this shit where it's like I my brain knew how to do it, but it was like it couldn't really do it anymore. So there was like a lot of these like verses I had that I had written to like, you know, like freeway beats or something shit like that, you know, and then like
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess this motherfucker's getting my mixtape verses because I can't think of any battle bars. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then, like I said, though, like after I did that, people were like, yo, I actually kind of like reverse better like this. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, well, they like my mixtape verses. So that's why I guess I'll give them this for a while. And then I did that for a few years. And then, like I said, I think my like Bobby Lee battle when I battled Bobby Lee was like the first time when I came back and was like my third round in that battle was my first time like riding an angle like a hurting like angle with punches and shit. And then after that, it like kind of clicked in my head, like, oh, I gotta do this. You know what I mean? Like this is what's gonna
When
win.
did the I'm trying to think about when the Bobby V. When was the that's before the what do you call those battles? The battles at the bunker?
Oh yeah, the bunker. Yeah, never mind. You know what? I was doing the bunker battle. Like I remember I battled Rosenberg and Dose at that shit, and I was still doing a little more like mixtape shit against them though, like rapping just verses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that. Like when I think about that era, I think like that was when like I started realizing that like yo, you were like hitting a stride of like yo, um, I would hear when my friends over here that watch battle rap talk about what was going on, they'd
Yeah,
be talking about you. And I'm like, wow, like
yeah.
that's a change. Like that's a drastic change.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
that like
Like you know who
2000.
Reverse Live. I'm like, you know who Reverse Live is? I was like, oh yeah. Like, oh shit.
So
You
what
know
the
what I'm
fuck do
saying?
you know?
Like, you know, nah, but like, yeah, but at the same time, it's good for you. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah,
I'm just giving my friend shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what do you know about battle rap? Like, I expect you guys to talk about this shit very casually and be like, yeah, like I'm a Tay Rock fan.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Which is like, oh, surprise, surprise. You know, like,
It's definitely like 2000. I think like 16, 15, 16 is like when when people started to like fuck with me again and we're like oh shit, like you know what I mean. And I think you're right, like around that time is when I started like tweaking the formula a little more. But when the season happened is when I like fully, the King of the Dot season is when I fully like locked in what I said it in an interview too. I was like, I figured out, I remembered how to win battles basically, you know what I mean. Like I was just like,
word.
I was like, oh, like I remember you do this and this, but I just got to add this new seasoning I got from the years, you know, and this to mix it in the pot, and I got this better form of myself now, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
So it's just up to me,
mm-hmm.
like to just keep like I guess like progressing with what I could do and shit. Like, and the only thing that's difficult, I guess, with me is like the style that I have is like a different than what's palatable to a lot of people now. You know what I'm saying? So like I definitely have to win people over sometimes, but I think it's getting more casual for people to like me. And it's also I could also say it has a lot to do with like cosigns that I get. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot more of
Right,
like URL dudes and dudes like that who are like retweeting my shit or co-signing me, and like their
right.
fans are being like, oh, okay, well, if he fucks with them, I fuck with them type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Making it easier for me to win them over. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being like the unorthodox white dude that they're confused if they like him or not. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, you know what? Like I'm also like, yo, it does suck that you didn't get to. It sucks. There was a lot of people I think that we didn't get to have in grind time East Coast that I'm like, I think you would have done well. Um,
I always wanted to
I
battle
remember, I
A-Class.
remember.
Like that was a cat
Word,
back then. Like I was like,
yeah,
me and him would have been tight because we
would
like,
have been a great battle.
yeah, I remember
Would
back
have been
then.
a
I,
great
I
battle.
wanted to go over there and battle A-Class. That was like a cat that I like really wanted to go battle back then. And like,
Yeah,
yeah,
A class was one of those. Like there were so many people that we had that were like really, just really good.
yeah, fuck yeah.
But
You even have dudes that kind of got like forgotten that were like really fucking dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, but even like I remember back the your guys like top lineup, like you had like Philly Swain, fuck, he was fucking amazing.
he would fuck
DNA,
with us. Yep,
Soul Con. I remember you guys would have like Troy Brown out there sometimes and shit. Like you
Troy
guys had
Brown. Yep,
a
Troy
lot of
Brown was with
fucking
us.
good people, dude.
Money bags,
Oh yeah, T Money.
Swave,
Yeah, Swave. Who's the dude
Mzilla.
who used to not cuss? That fucking Hollow got the fuck out of there. Like
What was this
J
kid?
Focus or some shit like
J
that.
Focus,
Yeah,
yes, J Focus.
yeah.
I remember battling J Focus I battled J Focus at a fight club, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
no shit. I remember he
Yeah,
was on Freestyle Friday, right? He was like a Freestyle Friday guy,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Yeah.
think so. I think so.
Because I remember
Yeah,
when he battled Hollow I had heard of Jay Focus, and I was like, oh, Jay Focus is gonna win this battle, and then Hollow just fucking just, you know what I mean, like dog walked him really bad.
Yeah, I mean that Jay, there was a few back then, like real like it was a changing of the guard, I think, again.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
and
Yeah,
there was a change happening. And like what was flying in the early grind time days was like, nah, this ain't gonna fly no more. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And then even, the near the end and what was became known as like grind time style battle rapping essentially, that became not cool, right?
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, and then like a switch up had to happen from
You,
there.
you
Like,
know who I
and,
always say like doesn't get enough credit for like being the first like dude to do a grind time style was like Sirius Jones versus Jin. That was like the first time I had ever heard someone like just go at the motherfucker like in a written format like that, because like
yeah,
Jin was in there freestyle, you know what I mean? And Sirius
yeah,
Jones was for quote unquote freestyling, but like, you know what I mean? It was like a pre-style, but he was like on his
hmm,
ass the whole fucking time. And I remember being young and seeing that and being like, yo, if you could do that in a written battle, you could fuck someone up. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah. Nah,
you really,
I remember. That's why I remember thinking. So in New York at the time, it was very like everybody was on there like, yo, you just were spitting your like
yeah,
mixtape bars
your mix, your best
in
verses. Yeah.
battles. And I remember like me like think like realizing like, yo, it was better to like riff like freestyle like about what you're wearing, joke and
Yeah.
snap on you and like make fun of everything that you're saying and doing, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that won over the crowd. And
Yeah.
like I was always like that's what we wanted. What I wanted more than anything was just like, I don't care what you think, what your boy thinks. If I got like the majority of the crowd to like
Yeah. If you get the room to
react,
fucking fuck with you, it's over.
that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like to me, I thought I was doing something innovative. So like when I see uh Soul Khan and Cortez, I'm like, what is this?
They
I'm
were
like,
at
no,
Fight
no,
Club.
no. I was
Where the
doing
fuck
this
were y'all?
first. Impossible for anybody to have thought of doing this. That is just like, super not impossible, my
When did
guy.
you guys show up? Fuck this.
You know what I mean? Like, very not impossible and shit. You know what I'm saying? This just was like the natural thought for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
I could imagine, especially because back like battling was like your guys' shit. And I'm sure just to see these random like fucking guys pop up, you're just like, nah, like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been
yeah,
out
no,
there.
I
What
mean,
the fuck is this?
yeah, especially when you're like active and like you're going like everywhere, and like you're
Yeah.
like there's certain people that like I knew who they were before I met them, because like everybody was talking about them at the scenes where we were all
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like I heard about Nems before. I think I heard about Nems like at Fight Club like right after his first fucking battle type
Yeah.
shit. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And then I meet Nems. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like um
I'm sure like Iron was probably like one of those dudes too, right? Like it was like
yeah,
fucking,
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I remember seeing Iron's battle with Math on the DVD.
oh, the little
Because
math shit, that shit.
yeah,
That
yeah, the
amazing.
little Matthew shit, yeah. And thinking to myself, yo, this fucking guy is fucking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, fucking dope as fuck. He was fucking, and then I remember, you know what it is? I felt like he was the first reason that I went to the internet and was like, okay, like let's, one of us has internet, let's search the rest of this battle and
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And then it became like a rabbit hole, of like checking out his battles and shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like we all were just like, yo, this dude is fucking ill. He is good.
He was
Like,
like, I remember when I was like, like I was saying with the Saurus, like how I was into him, like that time, like my to me, like the people when I was younger that really shaped who I liked were like the Saurus, Iron Solomon, No Can Do, and Hami Ham. Like, cause those were guys before I had seen like Grind Time or other shit. Those were dudes that were like fucking people up, like you know what I mean, like on some like other shit that I've seen and stuff. Like,
Or
I
I didn't
remember
even.
Ham, I didn't even see battle until WRC, but I remember seeing freestyle, but like an end of the week. There's an EO Dub freestyle that he's like wearing a white t-shirt and there's like a fucking he's just freestyling to a beat and he's like just destroying it. And I remember I used to just repeat that shit, watch it over and over and over like it was a song, you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
like watching him like rap and just being like studying it and shit, you know what I mean? But yeah,
yeah,
like those four dudes were like the dudes in terms of like freestyling and battling were like the dudes who like shaped my outlook on it. It's like added in with like I said, like random like J Dose and Slaughter Rico. And I used to like love Rain Man too. Do you remember those battles when those fools, I think they were the Philly dudes, and they would go from like Philly to Jersey and they'd battle the dudes in like the like abandoned office buildings and shit. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I remember like I used to love watching those battles and shit too. And like and shit like Fox 5 and dudes like random like old dudes like that like had a big influence on me too.
Yeah, no, I remember all that era. I remember
Yeah, that
fucking
was the shit,
like,
dude. That was
yeah,
like
no, that was
that's what I was saying. Like with back then, you had to be like obsessed with that shit and like hunt it
yeah,
down on DVDs or the internet in order to even like know what it was, let alone be a part of it. Was like even like more of a step out of your way to go to a battle or be involved with someone who could get you into a battle or some shit. You know what I mean? It was like
yeah.
a niche, a super niche ass thing.
Super niche, super
Yeah,
niche. That's why I just thought, like fucking I mean, also typical arrogant New Yorkers, you know what I mean? Like thinking that the world is like us and that's it, right? But
yeah,
like it just to me, I just was like, I didn't because also I had traveled already and seen some of the country like I mean, honestly, right before grind time, I had gotten to do the back at one tour. So it was like I got to see the whole country. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw that there was not like there was no other city like New York City where like, yo, there like literally is hip hop happening on like corners and like in random ciphers of humans like
yeah,
all
yeah.
around the city and shit. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, no,
it was
out here you'd have to like actively
like
look for that shit. Like
yeah, so
you can
like to
like walk
me,
into it.
I just was like, nah. And even in New York, the underground scene felt like yo, this is a small scene. Like we all know each other type shit.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Because like we keep on running into each other. So it's just like I just didn't even realize. You know what I'm saying? I didn't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I
But
fucking
caught up
envy.
in that
I
world. You know what I'm
definitely envy that. Like hearing, like talking to homies from the East Coast, like from back then and shit. Like I even said, like the Stretch and Bobito shit, bro. Like I fucking would like give a fucking arm to go back and like you just like witness that shit or listen, just be a part of it, a fly on the wall. You know what I mean? Like
right,
I love that shit. So like it's cool to like get to hear you talk about listening to it back in the day because it's something like I always like we had the wake up show, which was fire as fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
right.
Like, so like that had a big influence on me too, was like wake up show ciphers. But I just remember, oh, I knew a dude that was from New York that his name was Patrick, and he moved to my high school, and he had a bunch of Stretch and Bobito tapes that he had recorded just listening to him. And that fool put me on to hella shit like OC and hell of motherfuckers that were just on the show. You know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
I remember he like showed me what Stretch and Bobito was. And then through that, I would go like look for anything related to them that I could find and stuff like that. And like, but like I said, like the closest thing we had was the wake up show. But I always like if I could like time travel back to like a fucking radio somewhere and just listen to that shit, like for like a night, like I'd be like happy as fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
Word. You know what? I think I didn't even finish the thing that I was telling you about that. So
yeah, yeah,
I have recorded a weekend and a worth of new music, and I had Jay-Z, Funkmaster Flex dropping a million bombs. By the way, that was like wildly annoying. to Jigga My Nigga for the first time, like that it ever came out.
Yeah.
Jay-Z, Jigga My Nigga. Then it was Dead Prez's Hip Hop, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then Eminem off of Stretch and Bob. Eminem's like, I never meant to give you mushrooms, girl. I never meant to bring you to my world. And I had those 3 songs on the tape, and I play it for my homies, my OGs at the trap. And yo, them like after that, by the time I got to the 3rd song, they just ejected that tape and fucking
they were like
threw it across the room like, yo, this shit is trash. Like, this shit is trash. And I tell them all that story now, like in reminder, like, yo, I was
do they act like that shit
like
didn't happen?
I'm the young prodigy, fam. Even back then, I was trying to tell you old motherfuckers, listen here, this is gonna be the hard shit. And you didn't want to listen. And let me tell you something, I was right in retrospect and shit. They laugh about it. No, they all admit it. They all take wild pride. They take pride in the part of the story where I always describe that they literally eject my tape and fling it across the fucking room. They take so much pride in that that's who they are, that like they're like, yeah, nah, fuck that. We did do that. I remember doing that. I remember flinging a couple of your tapes and shit because you came with some trash shit. Like they remember, they remember to take pride in that more so than caring to it like deny the truth of like missing out on
good shit,
hearing them like. They like to them it was just like, nah, this shit is trash. Fuck out of here.
Like all classics now. Well, not so much.
All classics now. All classics now. Really. Well, I mean, not Eminem, Never Meant to Give You Mushrooms, Girl, but that song was one of the songs that was on the Slim Shady EP, I guess, or the Infinite or whatever the fuck he did before, right? That like did end up on the Dre album. You know what I'm saying? That like. But like the version that they played on Stretch and Bob was from that original Infinite. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the fuck. I don't know what it is. Because I always tell people that back then, like that's why like when like there's certain things that happen nowadays, like online, where it's just like people talk about things like oh, you know, very casually, matter of factly, and it's like, nah, back then nobody knew. Right? Like back then, nobody knew who Eminem was. Before, like,
my name is.
My name is, and I just don't give a fuck. It was for me. It was I just don't give a fuck because I bought that at the Tower Records. You know what I'm saying?
The single.
The single, right? But like, the
is that the one that had the Vicodin on it or whatever the fuck? Like that single?
I think that was like him standing on the fucking is like a different variation of what ended up being the album cover. Or no, really nah. Because the album cover wasn't him standing on that pier.
It's like a pier, like he threw like his lady off of it or some shit like that.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, but like it was something like that. But you couldn't see who he was because I remember thinking to myself that I thought Eminem was a fucking Mexican because the way he was dressed. I was like this cholo. I was like, let's see how this. I was like, I couldn't see his face, and all I saw was how he was dressed. So I was just like, let's see what this cholo motherfucker. I was like, I'm gonna give this fucking cholo because I didn't realize, right? And then I think it was right around then was when that like right before then was when that I just don't give a fuck. Not I just don't give a fuck. I never meant to give you mushrooms, girl thing happened on the radio, but it was like I didn't know who he was either. You know what I'm saying? Like I just caught that on the recording that I had set. I think I had already fell asleep or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It was just to me, I remember those 3 songs being on the tape and those 3 songs being the reason that they were just like, for me, it was, I knew what it was that they didn't like. They didn't like the production on any of it. Like they didn't like Swizz Beatz' sound. Like they were very critical of Swizz Beatz' sound and they didn't like, they just thought it was like, and
The
they
Dead
didn't
Prez
like the
is like,
Deprez
yeah.
sound. That song has kind of like that weird distortion type of like
And it's
not
done in like a double time, which is like not, you know what I'm saying,
right,
like
not
very like,
typical New York.
yeah,
And
exactly.
then Eminem's fucking Never Meant to Give You Mushroom Girl song is just like what? Like,
That's
you know
just
what
like
I'm
an
saying?
out there song, yeah.
Back then it was super. It was before Dre even put the cosign. So it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, they're just like, nah, you coming with too much weird shit today, bro. You gotta get the fuck out of here. This is the shit we be talking about. Fucking can't get right. Fucking can't get right. Whenever I was fucking throwing up or fucking asking too many questions, fucking can't get right. I wasn't Dutch in the moment. Like they'd call me can't get right. Hilarious shit though. I wouldn't have caught that. You know what I'm saying? Eminem thing and known it was him if it wasn't for Stretch and Bob. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
after when the album comes out is when I'm like, oh, this is the kid from
Oh,
that
like you were
fucking
like unintentionally like up on M like way before everyone. And shit.
yeah, unintentionally,
Yeah.
and I just didn't put it together at all.
Yeah.
Uh, and the cover again, I thought he was like a Mexican. Like I couldn't see his face. Like I thought he was a
He
Mexican
kind of
and
like
shit.
Loki sounds like a Mexican too, like the way like now that you're saying this, it's like hella funny to like think of Eminem like a Mexican. It's like I totally could see how you thought that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, when I look at it,
I've never thought
I'm
of it
like,
like that, and it's like hella fucking funny. Like I could see like being in your shoes, that being super plausible. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
And back then there was no like uh there was no media for you to really see. Like
oh yeah, none at all. Yeah,
there was music videos, there were radio interviews, but like if you I heard all the Hot 97 stuff that you didn't hear. You know what I mean? But like
yeah,
you're growing up hearing fucking Sway and Tech in the Morning shit that like I didn't hear. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
the interviews and the freestyles before Biggie died, when Biggie's on the West Coast, I
yeah,
didn't hear none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
cause like that wasn't like it wasn't out here. There was no internet back
Yeah.
then. There
No,
was no,
definitely.
you
Like
know what
I
I'm saying?
know.
Like there was no like kids nowadays act like, yo, this is the way it always was. And it's just like, nah, fam. Like they
Yeah,
act
yeah,
like, oh, I remember, yeah, Eminem when he used to sound like AZ. And it's like, bro, nobody had heard him before Dr.
yeah,
Dre put him out.
yeah.
Like the rest
Exactly.
of us heard him for the first time ever, like really, really like when we're properly introduced. And that's
I
where the
remember I
development
heard him
began.
on. Remember he was on. What was that? Sound Bombing 2 was the first time I think I heard that Any Man song or whatever the fuck it was.
Right.
I remember that was like the first time I ever heard Eminem, and
I think that was also after, wasn't that after?
that's when he was on Raucous, and he was like part of the Outsiders and shit like that. Like, because that was like during his like when he was on the Wake Up Show doing shit like and stuff, and then through the Wake Up Show is when Dre found him and then signed him after that. But I heard Eminem like off like that. But honestly, I didn't really fucking like that song like when I'm off that tape. I do now, like listening back now. Like I'm like, oh, that's actually a pretty good fucking song. But I remember when I used to skip that song on the fucking time back in the day. You know what I mean? Like on that record. And I
It's
remember when it
crazy.
but also Eminem, I think by the time I had heard like that album and stuff, Eminem was like already a fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I just, you know what I'm saying, wasn't into Eminem at that time and shit like, and like because I
Word.
never had, I shouldn't say that was the first song I heard because I remember My Name Is being on TV and stuff like that. But like the first song I like really like listened to by Eminem was Any Man off the Ruckus record and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really
Word.
like it. Like I thought it was a weird song and shit.
It's crazy because I was over there at Raucous and I'm like, I remember having all those CDs and meeting all these people and like at the same time giving no fucks because like I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'm like thinking like, oh, where's you know, like I got starstruck when I saw Method Man and Redman and shit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's a
Like,
cool one though. Yeah, fuck yeah.
like, but and then like I'm fucking Sarah Connor has me around fucking Jean Grey and Mr. Len from like Company Flow and shit.
Yeah,
You know
Mr.
what I'm
Lynn.
saying?
Jean Grey used to
Like
be fire as fuck too.
legend, legend. You know
Fuck
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like legend now. You know what I'm saying? Like she's like in that echelon of like the indie that like
I was gonna say
made.
she was definitely like one of the like indie like people that I fucked with in high school, like when I was buying up hella shit off like undergroundhiphop.com and like Sandbox Automatic and all those like you know what I mean, those like cutty ass like hip hop sites back in the day. I definitely I definitely still have like few Jean Grey CDs in my collection and shit.
Yeah,
She had
yo.
some dope shit. The
Yeah, nah,
bootleg of the
she's
bootleg, I think that's what the one with Haters Anthem and shit.
mm-hmm.
That was a fucking tight ass album.
Yeah, nah, she's always been like, you know, ahead, ahead of her time and shit. Wow. Like
That
her
album she
skill
did with
level is
Ninth
still
was sick too. The Ninth Wonder album she did was a dope album.
genius.
Yeah,
That
that
one
was
was
a hard
hard.
ass album.
That
Yeah.
was fucking amazing. Absolutely. I love that album. Yeah. Yeah, nah. So um you were what were you with the making of the music and the battle rapping all that time, like when you came back, where did you go with the music? Did you take a break from that so you could focus on
Uh,
battle rap, or did you just like start?
um, I was when I came back to battling, I was still like I think around the time I'm trying to think of when because I was doing the band stuff and I wasn't really making much rap music anymore. But around that time, like when I first came back to the King of the Dot stuff, battling and shit. So like 2000, I don't know when that was, like probably 13 or something, 12, 13 maybe. I don't know. I started hanging out like this. I met this cat named his name's Nick, but he produces under Chips, Cemetery Chips, and he had a studio in his garage. And one of my homies that rapped was at this dude's house, and he told me to come over. And basically, I went there, and me and the dude Nick, he was like an engineer producer, like I was saying earlier. This fool was like my cheat code, basically. When I met, we still make music together too.
Or
And the first night I ever met this fool, I was in his garage just chopping it up about music and making songs till like 5 in the morning. And after that, I moved like not too long after that, I moved in with this fool. Like he had an extra room and I just moved in there and we just started making I started a group called Gold Shards. And we have like shit on platforms and stuff like that. But that's when I first started getting like really back into like recording like rap music and stuff, you know what I mean? And a lot of the Gold Chart stuff is like really different too. Like there's like a lot of influence from all over coming in on that and stuff, you know what I mean? And but around that time, or I think we started Gold Shards around 2013, 14, something like that. And that's when I got like back into doing rap music again. I had been battling again, I think for another year or so, like doing that shit, you know what I mean? But then I think that time probably was 2013, 14. And then I made the Gold Shards album with him, an EP, little 3-song EP. And then shit, after that, I think we've dropped an album every 3 years after that. Cause me and that fool are hella picky. Like we'll just be making music. We've had a fucking new album done called Moonwater that's been done for like a year. We just don't know like how we want to mix it and like how to present it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like ready to
artist shit.
go. Yeah, but we just don't know how to like what to like bring it forth with or how to yet. But it's gonna get there and shit. But yeah. But since then though, I've met a lot of people I make music with and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have a homie, one of my closest partners that I make music with, this is actually a crazy story. In 2015 on SoundCloud, or no, YouTube, I found this beat tape from a dude named DJ Akoza, and I just randomly found it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And it was the illest shit that I have heard in a long fucking time as far as production goes, because he has like this Memphis like bounce to him but he
Mm-hmm.
would sample shit like boom, like underground, like odd, like
Word.
samples, but it had like a bounce to it. And I was like, this is wild. Like I never heard no shit like this. This is crazy. So I'm listening to this dude for like 4 years, probably 3 or 4 years after that. And I do the Big K battle. I did a one rounder with Big K out in San Jose. And when I posted the flyer, um, that fool DJ Akoza leaves a comment on my shit with the flame emojis, right? And I was just like, what the fuck? I'm like, I checked his page and made sure it was him and stuff. And like, at this point, he's like my favorite producer out, right? Even though he's like more of an underground dude and shit, like a niche dude, but he's like like I love his shit. And I just like saw he liked my shit, so I just hit him up and I was like, hey, big fan, like thanks for fucking with my shit, blah blah. And he told me like, I'm actually a big fan of yours. I've been watching your battles since like 2008 and all this shit. And I was like, oh, well, let's make music type shit. You know what I'm saying? And since then, me and him have made like fucking 3 EPs. We have like 3 more coming out this year. I just dropped one with him and my homie Non Fiero, SM. He's known as SM, or used to be known as SM. So like, yeah, that's who my main like partner in music is right now, is my homie DJ Akoza and shit. But I got a lot of shit like in the works, and I got another, well, not even in the works. My boy Pete, like he goes by Pete Weber now, but he used to go by Saxon. He's a producer from Long Beach that does a lot of like SP, like fucking analog like beats and shit that are really dope. And he runs a cassette company called Bias Tapes and shit. And we're gonna make a bunch of cassettes for our music and stuff. Like, you know what I
That's
mean?
dope.
Yeah. We got like a lot of cool shit like that. I've kind of collected a lot of like cool like characters throughout my travels and shit. And like I think at this point in my making music is like the most effective I've ever been, just because who I've met and who I like know
Mm-hmm.
that can help me with things now. You know what I mean? Like I know the dude who's like my engineer now, Chris Paxton, he mixes songs for like YG and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's a really good engineer. And like
Right.
so that's like a cool little advantage I have over a lot of like other people's music, is I have like a professional like engineer who's just down to
Mm-hmm.
fuck with me, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like things are like have finally like aligned to where I can make things how I want to, you know what I mean? Like I actually just started getting into making like not EDM. It's kind of like EDM. Like I don't make the beats, but like this dude, DJ Louis, he's from France. He runs a record label called Jupiter 4. He sent me like some like trance, like trippy beats to rap to and stuff. And it was a little different, but they ended up really tight. And we're gonna press up like a vinyl, like a maxi single vinyl with it. And like,
That's hard.
and it's tight too, because like he's from France. So that's like a whole nother like
Yeah.
market that I know nothing about. It's a different genre in a different country. So like it's like, you know what I mean? Cool for me, because like,
Super cool.
yeah, it's like a reach that I would have not had before. So it was like pretty cool, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but yeah,
nah. Party.
like
I'm super into like party music. Like the next
yeah,
volume that
exactly. Yeah.
we're working on is all like uh house music and like up
Fuck
tempo
yeah.
dance,
Fire, yeah.
funky dancing,
I love that type of. I've always been into like I like electronic music. I love house. I
yeah, I
love
love that
jungle. I
shit.
love jungle. I love UK garage. I love drum and bass, and like, so like to have like a dude from that scene reach out and be like,
Yeah,
"Yo,
exactly.
I want you to fuck with." I've always kind of like wanted someone to do that, but I didn't know like who to ask or where to go to get shit like that. And then I had this dude just kind of be like
Fucking
drop
doors
it in my
open.
lap, you know what I mean? So it's kind of cool to get to start doing that, because I've always wanted to do it, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's by, virtue of staying busy and staying active and like actually doing good work. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
exactly. It's like it's
that's how
paying
these
off finally. Yeah,
opportunities, you know what I'm saying? That's how these opportunities to meet these people and like finding the people that are your people, you know what I'm saying? Finding your tribe and shit, like that's essentially what you're talking about, like
yeah, exactly.
finding
Yeah, it's just like-minded people
finding
who want to just make cool
hmm
shit. Yeah. Yo,
hmm
speaking of cool shit, I was gonna ask you too. That fucking the Littyyy Bros cover with like the bodega thing, was that like an actual model that someone made, or like is that like a physical fucking thing that
Yeah,
you made?
Danny Cortez is like he makes miniatures. He started making
Yeah,
miniatures during the quarantine and like he makes New York City like classic New York city just stuff.
Yeah,
Like he makes like these ice boxes that like we have in front of all our bodegas that
yeah,
like hold the ice bags, like if you want to buy ice bag from the bodega.
yeah,
And like he makes like mailboxes and phone booths. They used to be all over the city. And then he does train, like the front of trains,
yeah,
and does like miniature, like one train car, and just does these miniature things. And I was just like, he I got to know him through um at Nems's art gallery
yeah,
opening in Bowery that he did in conjunction with Iron Solomon and Corner Store. The
yeah,
way
yeah,
that you were saying, getting to know these guys, right? Like becoming friends with like Iron Solomon is like he's like super solid, great, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
great human being, probably like the way that you feel about Pete, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Where it's just
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
like I've gotten to know this guy so well. Like I know his like cloth and like his like character, you know? And so great guy, you know, Iron. And so Iron was doing the art gallery with Nems, and he kind of was like masterminding a lot of like like what was being presented.
yeah,
And in masterminding what was being presented, he was also helping present other artists that like most people aren't even aware of. And Danny Cortez is one of them, because he had a piece that he did of the bodega, the corner store that like Nems be chilling in front of out in
yeah,
Coney
yeah,
Island. And so he did that for Nems. And when I saw that at Nems, this shit, I was like, yo, bro, who is this? Like, what is this? Like, I was like, and I met Danny there. And I was just like immediately like, yo, I gotta commission you to do like a piece for me. And the album cover is this famous Cucci Frito spot on
yeah,
116
yeah.
between Lenox and Third Ave, and Danny Cortez being a fellow New Yorican that has grown up in the
Yeah,
city.
yeah.
Like that's like a famous Puerto Rican
So was he
eatery.
like hyped to do that shit pretty much?
Super hype,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
super
yeah.
hype. He was like,
Because that
"What?"
shit,
Like I was
because that
just
shit's
talking.
dope, dude. Like I
Yeah,
really
nah,
fuck with shit like that. Like
that shit is
I,
super.
I'm like very into presentation and shit, and like having like a physical one off of something made for your like album like that is like
Yeah,
so I love shit like that. So I thought that was hella cool, and I was gonna ask you if like if that was like a one off like thing you had made for it and stuff, because that
yeah,
like that shit's hard as fuck. Like it's really fucking tight, and like
yeah. Nah,
and
thank you.
knowing like the story behind it like that makes it even fucking cooler, like because that shit's raw, like hella raw. It looks super dope, and I love
Yeah, nah.
miniatures too. That's like another thing
Minis
I'm
are
into.
super dope,
Yeah.
right? I think it's so weird that like the older we get as men, the more obsessed we become with like fucking like collectibles.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
were reverting back to like childhood and shit. Like, yeah, no, it's just I'm collecting different shit now.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's art. It's
yeah.
art.
It's
Like,
hella funny too. It's just like, oh yeah, it's no, it's like it's a smaller version. It's you know what I mean? Like I collect smaller versions of things. Like, but like I fucking hella me and my lady got hella like miniatures of shit. Like so like so when I saw that, I was like, damn, is that like a miniature of like a bodega that he knows or something? Because I was like that it's just like super cool to me, and like to hear basically what you're saying it is what I thought it was, and it's fucking that's super dope.
yeah, yeah. Nah, it definitely is. I mean, well, it's a what it is a restaurant. It's a type of Puerto Rican you know, cuisine. Like I guess it's kind of like
Oh, is that what it is?
um
It's like a
yeah,
little
yeah,
like
like a little, yeah, it's like a little restaurant that you can
oh,
go
okay,
in and
cool.
sit. They have like they have bar stools sitting along like a table that they could serve, you know, and they don't really have any like chairs or that type of seating. It's just these
Yeah,
bar
yeah.
stools. So like you could either take your shit to
It's
go,
like a bar for
um,
eating, basically.
yeah, but like this like which is really it's kind of like in Puerto Rico style, like if I'm
Oh,
not
okay, yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
Like it like that's the way that a lot of restaurants like are like in Puerto Rico. There's a lot of like by the roadside restaurants that like the only seating that they really have is like some like bar stools at like, you know, the front of the spot where like you could buy a beer and they could serve you food right there. And it's like it's really like a type of the food is like a fried food type of thing, but it's really about like a lot of pig and like eating the pig like from the rooter to the tutor, which is like southern shit. There's like a song, there's like a whole old song that's like featured in both the Crooklyn movie that Spike Lee did and in the Departed movie with Leonardo, when Leonardo's like in the garage and like bashing this dude with like boot, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. There's this Spanish song playing in the background. It's by this old believe he's Cuban artist from like the 60s or the 70s and called Joe Cuba. And like he's got a song that like he's like singing cornbread, hog maw and chitlings, cornbread, pero papi, tú estás comiendo cuchifrito. Yeah. So like he's like, oh, he's in the South and he's doing the chitlin circuit with like Black artists back in the days, and he's realizing that like, oh, y'all eat the pig from the rooter to the tutor. All this shit that y'all eat is the same shit that we eat in the Caribbean. Like there's no different. You know what I mean? So like he's like relating to like Southern artists and realizing that like, oh shit, like it's all just like, I think it's like part of like understanding like the African diaspora and like where we all like get like the our food tendencies and ways that we go about like cooking it. You know, it's kind of like the same thing and shit. But like, yeah, so cuchifritos is like just like this type of food that Puerto Ricans eat and shit. And it's got like all these like pretty awesome. Next time that you're in New York City for a battle, we link up and I'll definitely take you. I'm like super unofficial. Like I've been trying to like Poison Pen for like decades has been like the unofficial New York City mayor and like tour guide. Like when people come into town, he's always here and like introduces, and like maybe for like the past like 5-6 years I've been like heavy on the low coming for his crown, like
you're taking up the reins,
try to convince people to come, like instead of going to Brooklyn, to come uptown to the Bronx and like stay at an Airbnb uptown Spanish Harlem, you know what I'm saying? You'll be closer to me and I'll be able to show you the city easier from like uptown and shit. And
I'll hella fuck
and I super take people like all the like food, like all the good eats and shit. Like I got a pizza tour. I got a fucking Spanish, Caribbean, Jamaican.
Take me to all that shit because I grew up, like I said, like I've always grown up in like Mexican neighborhoods and shit. So I love like spicy food and shit and like cultural food, you know what I'm saying? Like things like from from places that aren't
be
really
perfectly fine with all the Caribbean stuff.
Yeah, like I love shit like things, because I don't know. I think I've had I don't even know if I've ever had Caribbean food before, but I know I'd fuck it up because I've seen like videos of people eating it, and I'm like, I'll fuck that up. You know what I mean? And I'm very I'll eat anything too. Like I'm sure you could tell by looking at me. I ain't afraid. You know what I mean? Like,
it's one of those visual fuck ups, right? Where like people like look at me and they're like, "Yo, this motherfucking skinny. He don't eat shit," and it's just like actually the opposite. Like I'm a fucking vacuum cleaner. Like I be eating wild food.
Everyone I've ever known in my life that is like that could put down the most food is always my skinny homie, bro. Like the skinny is always the one that's like eating more than everybody,
big fact.
Bro.
It's like the fucking Flash metabolism and shit. You know what I mean? Like
it's just gone right when you eat it. And shit. Like,
eat it, shit it out. Like you know what I'm saying? Like also skinny homies be the ones that go to the bathroom the most and shit. Like just so happen to be the ones
your body's just like
always on the toilet,
getting rid of shit. Like it's like, you know,
immediately.
Not enough room, homie. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So, but that's what that is, and that's what half of the album is called. Like the album is called Volume 3, Coquitos and Cuchifritos, and it kind of keeps like a little thing going. Like Volume 1 was champagne and cocaine. Volume 2 was cognac and codeine, and then Volume 3 was like Coquitos and Cuchifritos. That's like Latin. coquitos is like it's one of two things. It's either kind of like an Italian icy looking type of you know icy type of thing that you get served in a cup, or it's really like Puerto Rican eggnog that we make every like Christmas season.
Oh,
And
word?
like people like in New York City, it's like it's known that there's like like everybody in New York City knows a Latin person, usually like of Puerto Rican descent, that like makes like it's a mom or a grandmom or auntie, and she makes like big, like she makes like the Bacardi plastic, big
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
things full of these coquito things, and like she sells them by like the like by like either the bottle
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like smaller bottles, and like everybody in the city like knows and has had like coquito. Coquito is
Yeah.
like the and it's liquor, like it's got like I said, right? Because eggnog has liquor in it, right?
Yeah, generally, like, and I don't
Generally,
think it's
right?
made with it, but that's what like people do with it. It's like a mixer. They
Word.
put brandy in it or some shit like that. I'm not a
Facts.
big
That's what they
eggnog
do.
dude, but I'm pretty sure that's like same like what they put in it. Probably the same
Mm.
concept, right?
It's creamy. It's just instead of it being eggnog, it's like fucking coconut nog. You know what I
Oh
mean? Like
fuck, that I would fuck that up.
so it's like but it
I'd,
doesn't
I'd,
really
I'd,
have
I'd
too
much
much
rather
of
have
like
that
a
than
yeah,
eggnog than
nah.
fucking
It's
eggs.
it's super it's super like everybody who's ever had it is always like, this shit is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I could because I love like coconut, like anything really. So if it's like creamy coconut that's gonna get me fucked up, like I'm 200%
Down, right?
game with that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
As
mean,
soon as it's on, yeah.
bear in mind, if you want it, like you're gonna have to come circa like Christmas time, somewhere between
It's
Halloween,
yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
between Halloween to Christmas is when like
So
it's definitely way before Christmas, but
I
it's
was
like
I was
somewhere between
gonna
Halloween to Thanksgiving. I think it's Thanksgiving that when it really starts like
so
cracking off, you
so
know?
since I was gonna say since like the one term has like two kind of meetings, does it like change seasonally? Like when you ask for it, you're gonna get one around this time and then the other around another time, or does it just like they just have the same fucking name type thing? You know what I'm saying?
What the album title?
No, no, no. The icy and the eggnog. You were saying like they're both the
Oh
same
yeah,
shit.
yeah. No, it definitely is. It's a seasonal thing, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not gonna get the icy. You're not gonna get the icy in the winter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You only be able to get the icy from like April. Like soon as like the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
nice weather day hits New York City, in whether it's fucking March or April or May, like soon as it like hits nice, like the Mr. Softy trucks, you start hearing the jingles coming out, and then the Spanish lady comes out with the little bell, and she got the coquito cart, and that's when you can
Yeah.
get the icy. But and then like that ends like maybe like near the like cold, like when the cold really hits, that it's like, yo,
That's when it
it's too
changes into
cold.
the other shit.
Like
Yeah.
nobody wants ice
I
cream
see.
right
Yeah,
now
yeah,
because it's
exactly.
too cold. You know what I'm saying? That's when like the coquito, the liquor drink busts out for like
Yeah.
the holidays and shit. So yeah, it is depending when you can get one of those two. Like
Yeah, yeah,
depends
yeah.
on the time of year that you come. And I'll be perfectly honest, like I do always recommend to people to come instead in the summer, because there's nothing like a New York City summer.
Yeah.
It's like it's the energy is just different,
I've
and
uh
it's
I've been
more
out
vibrant.
there. I've been out there once in summer and once in winter. And like I remember when the only thing I got fucked up with on in summer because I was going to New York, so I thought it was gonna be colder. So I was like rocking like like heavier clothes or like longer clothes and shit. And then I got there and it was like hot as fuck and hella
Hot as
humid.
fuck.
And I was like,
Humid hot.
I played myself.
Humid hot.
I had to go buy some like plain tees from the like corner store and shit. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
was like, well, I gotta go buy
You
some
had you had
white
one pair of
t-shirts.
shorts with you. You
Yeah,
you
yeah,
rocked that
yeah.
one pair of shorts. Like you were like, these are my shorts. This is it.
Dude, but
Like,
I remember the second time I went to New York, it was winter time, and like I got off the plane and like I'm from California and shit. And this is before because I went on tour after my second time being in New York. So I've been to like Chicago and like
enough
like
northern,
other colder places.
cities.
But
Yeah,
New York was the first time. I remember when I stepped out the airport and I didn't have gloves on. I was like covered in the wind, like the wind chill plus like the temperature outside hit my hands, and my hands like hurt. Like I was just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was just like, I was not used to that shit. Like my hands like hit the cold and they like stung. And I was like, damn, it's for real cold, like over here. Not no like California over here. It gets to like 40s and shit. But I think it was like 27 or some shit when I got out of the airport, some shit like that. And I just remember plus the wind chill like hitting my hands. I was just like right back in the pockets. I was like, I need to buy some fucking gloves like ASAP. You know what I mean? Like, and my mom too. Before I went out there, my mom was like, "You need to get some gloves." I was like, "I don't need no fucking gloves." And then like the first thing that happens to me in New York is like, "I need some fucking gloves."
Yeah, no, New York is it's brutal when it hits like if you're coming in like the end of July, beginning of August, you're coming at like the hottest time of the year here. Like it is humid and hot and muggy, and it is.
I was
just
there in
like
August. I think I came in August. Yeah,
a level of hot that makes you be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then if you come in
because
like
even out here it's
January or February, like
Yeah.
you're gonna come when it's like, yo, it's like the cold is biting, and it's like
that's what it was, bro. Because even like I was saying, the heat that we have out here in Cali, like, you know, it's like dry heat. You know what I'm saying? So you could go stand in the shade or whatever, and you'll be better. Like when I was there, it was like humid, so like it didn't fucking matter if I was in the shade. It was the same fucking temperature. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like you. Like I had been to Florida before and like experienced that, but like, but yeah, when I was in like New York, I wasn't like ready for it, I guess, that time, and I wasn't dressed for it, so I was just like not having a good time till I went to like get some new shirts and shit and was like, all right, we're cool. I got some white tees on now. I'm okay. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Hilarious. Yeah, nah. Next time that you come into the city, let me know. Like I'm always like glad to play. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm glad to play tour guide, and then I'm glad to like pay. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm one of those like put away your money. Your money's no good here. Like this is all on me. You know what I'm saying?
Good
like
man,
this
good
is,
man.
This
No, like
you know,
I love to like know people who are gonna take me to food spots. So I'm for sure gonna hit you and like whatever.
No, that's the most important thing when you travel is like food.
Off rip, yeah.
Like, like that's what I like. That's why like I criticize like cruises a lot, because I'm just like, it's kind of like fucking trash, bro. Like to be on like a boat with like your fellow Americans and like just eat the same foods that like
buffet,
are
like
super
eating,
safe.
buffet food.
Buffet, like, bro, that's so like, that's so cringe to me. Like, nah, man. Like, I want to go to another country, and I want to go to another country, and I want to enthrall myself in your culture and experience and eat and like whatever, like what's cracking, like what's your party like, what's your shopping like, what's your eating like. That's what I want to experience. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just like fucking be around a bunch of fucking Americans fucking eating fucking burgers and fucking hot dogs for fucking lunch. Like,
chicken fingers from the buffet.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, come on, man. Like, that's not really like a trip somewhere. Like, you didn't go to wherever the fuck that boat took you to. Like, you just stayed on a piece of American floating land and went to these places
and like went across, you know
what I'm saying? And got off the boat, like waved at like the locals, like they're fucking like specimen in a fucking
like
cage. You know what I'm saying? Got your fucking little trinket to say that you went somewhere. You got back on your floating American ship.
Jamaican, and they're like taking pictures and shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's not the way that like I'm trying to like experience some shit.
So I fuck with that. I would, like I said, I'm like afraid of the ocean, but I like share the same fucking like mindset with that shit. Like to me, a cruise just like for the exact same reason. Mostly the food thing that you were saying. I've always thought that exact same shit. Like why go on a boat and eat buffet food? Like if you could travel somewhere and like, you know, eat like some bomb ass like pasta or some shit like that. And like that's from where
Exactly.
the fuck you went. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So so now you just finished an event and a battle, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
you battled at the Ouroboros, right?
Yeah, Battle XL Team Homie.
Excel Team
Yeah,
Homie,
yeah.
facts,
I
the
know.
homie. He's also a former guest
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the show.
Yeah, he's
Yup.
a good dude.
Good
I've
good
known XL
good
for I
man.
remember at Back to Basics for that King of the Dot event. Me and him got room together back then, and so off that, like, I remember I came into the room and he was smoking weed in the hotel room, and I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get along for sure. Like, you know, what I'm saying? Like,
Word.
but yeah, like I fuck with X, man. He's a good dude.
And I think that he's kind of like same as you, man. Like I think that he's like, like, man, I am here for like the like work. Like
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
really
exactly.
for much for the show. You know what I mean? Like
And
I'm not really.
me and him have always kind of had that mutual respect about each other for that reason. And we've talked about battling for a while. So, and this was just kind of like the opportunity that we had to like, you know, get it done in like a cool, like, I guess you'd say setting, like, you know, bringing back
Mhm.
like the different aspects of, because me and him definitely are like more different styled than a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And like the GTX is like its purpose is to showcase people like me and XL, you know what I mean? So me and him
Right.
battling on that platform just like made sense, and it turned out good too. I thought that battle was dope, you know what I mean?
I would imagine. I still haven't seen it, but like I would imagine that like
Yeah, it was
it.
good. Yeah,
I think I saw Excel post like a little clip of footage on his side.
yeah.
Um.
I think
Uh.
on his Instagram he had some shit from the event. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So. But you still because before that you had just battled at KOTD not long ago, right?
Yeah, I did I was doing the season one shit, the
Mhm.
100,000 tournament. And after that, I battled Don Marino from Miami for the first GTX event too.
Word.
So
Facts.
that was my last one before the XL one, I believe.
Word. So like you'll probably keep on foreseeably battling both on GTX and KOTD.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh
Like for sure. Or whoever, you
Word.
know, I battle is another one that I also I like battling for them a lot too. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the two times I went to New York was to go battle for I battle. And then but yeah, GTX and King of the Dot for sure. That King of the Dot I know because Canada has a lot of the more COVID restrictions and shit, so they haven't been able to like cross the border as
Mhm.
much and do shit over here. But like I definitely like well I will still battle for them if they have anything for me, you know, like events out here and stuff. And definitely GTX is like kind of like right now, and I'm definitely like considering my league because I've always been pretty like loyal to like Lush One and Avocado. You know what I mean? They've always been
Right.
like good to
They've
me,
ho-
always held me
Sounds like
down.
they've been good to you. Exactly.
Yeah,
Sounds like they've held you down. Sounds like they've done nothing but help,
yeah,
your story.
exactly.
You know what I'm
So like
saying? Like,
that's you know what I mean. I'm very loyal to Lush and Avo in that sense. Like whenever they start something or do something, I'll always like you know what I mean. I'll do a battle for them or try to like help however I can and stuff. Just because like you know I like to see them doing good. Just because from being like behind the scenes for all these years, I've seen how much like they've thrown into this shit and like you know what I'm saying. So like whatever I can
mhm.
do, and I've benefited from a lot from what they've done. So like any way I could like help out or give back or anything. And obviously it's not like a bad thing to be on like a new big platform. It's a good look for me and I get
Yeah,
to do it with
absolutely.
my friends that I've been cool with for decades. So you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like and also I guess since it's grind time, like that was my like league originally, so it makes sense to you know be a part of it when it came back. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
so it's definitely they got that Crooked Eye event coming up. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be on that shit. It sounds like I am. You know, you never know till it's like
yeah,
finalized.
yeah.
But like
Right,
I
right.
plan on battling on that one. I don't know who yet, but I'm definitely trying to get on that card for sure.
Word. Has anybody else been like has RBE ever like uh uh hollered at you for something, or
no, not. I would definitely
like
do an RBE event, like that would be dope as fuck. I would. That's definitely like a bucket list league for me. Rap committee hit me up not too long, but I ended up not being able to do it because of work. Like I had to the day we set up to do it. When I went to request it off at work, it was like a blackout month because we're like busy as fuck that time, so they couldn't really let me go for that weekend, or that pretty much those 2 weeks you can't request off, you know. So it just landed on a bad time, but I plan on going out there still. But RBE for sure. Any of the, like, you know, more bigger leagues or things that I watch out there, I would always be down to go travel out and battle for them and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Plus, I'm like a cheap date. Fools don't even know. Like, if you like fly me out and give me a hotel room and buy me a bunch of food and shit, like I'll go battle for you. I'm not an expensive like person to like book, right?
Let's not say that. We're still gonna put some money on that.
It's 5 G's actually. Like I said, the minimum starting price. It's like
Word though. Nah, I mean, I think that eventually that'll definitely probably end up happening. You know what I'm saying?
if
I
I
can't
keep
see why
putting the
not.
boots to fools, I hope, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
The fucking it's slowly, like my pay though, like my fucking starting price has definitely gone up like over the last 2 years, and like I've just realized that I could,
as it
like,
should.
you know what I mean? Like you just gotta know your worth sometimes and shit. And if fools don't want to fucking pay you, then you know you don't have to fucking battle for them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And you earned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I think that you
that's what
guys,
I'm.
you're amongst a group of rappers that has like earned their spot across the last few
Yeah,
years, more so with like the consistency and
hell
like
yeah. I appreciate
participating in
that.
these
I try.
tournaments is like, for participating in these tournaments is super not easy. Like
Yeah, yeah.
super not easy.
Oh
So
no,
like,
not at all. Yeah, we were
you
having
know,
battle month and a half apart, like in like high fucking competition battle. Like that was definitely like that. I think that was one of the, being in that tournament definitely like sharpened my pen up like for the better, because I was like forcing myself to do good in short amounts of time, like back to back to back and stuff. Which trips me
yeah,
out. Like people like A Ward who could just do that shit all the time is like crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like even if he's
yeah.
not your cup of tea, like for like the level he performs at constantly is pretty crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Nah, definitely. It's super hard for them to be performing that frequently and be putting out like quality content. Danny Myers is another one.
Oh
Like
yeah, exactly. Benny's
Danny
pretty
Myers
simple.
isn't my cup of tea. You know what I mean? I'm super
Yeah.
vocal about it, but like that does not like, you know, like knowing this shit and knowing what it takes, like that
Yeah.
doesn't, you know, that's not, one thing doesn't speak to the other. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Yeah.
like discounting, like his work ethic is crazy, and like the quality that he's putting out and what he's doing is just like, yo, bro, like tip of the hat. I just
Yeah. Yeah.
don't like your style, you know what I'm saying? But like
Yeah. Yeah.
super, you know, like super respect for what the fuck he does and how the fuck he get, like where he's taken himself, like
Yeah.
fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, yeah. I was there when he fucking battled Rum, like when like at that t-shirt shop. Like I remember being there and just like being like, oh, this dude's pretty dope. And now it's like he's like fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like this,
bar
like,
god.
yeah, the bar guy.
Yeah, nah, I can't. I'm not a fan of the super over the top theatrics, but like I'm also not like opposed to it. Like I understand that that's super a part of this shit, and like uh more props to all the guys that can do
Yeah.
that shit. You know what
I'm
I'm
like
saying? Like,
very subjective with battle rap because I'm like you, like a lot of the dudes that everybody likes, like I low key think are ass. You know what I mean? Like just for what I like in rap, but I understand like what they're doing and that there's a place for it, I guess. So
mhm.
that's why you'll never really hear me, because I definitely have opinions. If you're like drinking a beer with me, I'll fucking tell you like, oh, that fool's trash. Like he said this shit. Who fucking cares, you know? But publicly, like I'm not gonna like talk shit about anybody because like what they do is what they do, and there's like a fan base for that. Just like how their fan base probably doesn't give a fuck about what I do. It's like the same different side of a coin, you know what I mean? Same coin,
Mhm.
different. It's like So that's what I'm saying. Just I kind of just like let people rock. But I definitely, I'm sure if me and you chopped it up like not on camera, we'd probably agree with a lot of dudes who suck. You know what I'm saying? Like or who,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, I'm definitely what you call it too. Like I don't ever fucking. I'm always like, yo, like, uh, probably way better than me. Like if you ask, depends on who you ask. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But like, am I into it? Is it my cup of tea? Like, nah, not my cup of tea. But I'm also not mad at anybody for like,
Yeah,
you
because
know,
also too,
like,
you know what it takes, like you were saying, like you know what goes into battling. You know what I'm
oh
saying? Like
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like there's a lot of like stress and obsession that goes into that
Mm-hmm.
shit. So for
Mm-hmm.
someone to be able to do it that much, you have to like respect it to a degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And also respect like some of the characters that people make themselves into for this shit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
exactly.
where it's just
And
like,
that's like a
yo,
job in
look,
itself. Yeah.
they went character crazy for a while long. And I respected every single moment of all of it, even when I
Yeah,
wasn't watching, because I'm hearing that he took a shit on stage or
yeah, yeah.
fucking shit on stage and got naked or something like that.
Yeah, you know,
Or I forget what were the like. There were two that like as soon as I heard what happened, I was like, oh well, I guess I'm not watching that daylight battle. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I was just
He
like,
tried to shit
you
on
know,
stage and I think he got naked. I know he rubbed his ball sweat on his hand and rubbed it on Lil Pesci's face too, which is wild.
that yeah, that was like
Was
that was
that
the
the other
beginning.
thing?
I think that was the beginning before all the
Yeah, that
super
was what
antics.
like
That
set
was
it
the
off.
first real.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was the first set it off antic, right? Where
yeah,
like
yeah.
he just put his hand down his fucking pants and fucking
He's on that full
fucking
face. That's the wildest shit, dude. You can't win a battle after that happening to you. I think that's all he knew.
yeah.
And I told him like Pesci's the homie, but fuck, man, like
Yeah,
you can't really come back from that. You're just there's no
yeah.
swimming out of
I
those
think we're
waters.
gonna have Pesci on the show in a couple weeks. Shouts to
Yeah, yes.
Pesci. You know what I mean? But like, definitely was
You don't
like
got to
one
bring
of
that
those
up. It's
like,
fine. It's like,
yeah, no. I mean, you know, it's up to him what gets brought up. You know what I mean? Like,
so the daylight battle.
I'm not going digging for that. You know, but definitely they. But after that is when I feel like they went antics crazy, and it was if it wasn't that he got naked, it was something like relatively close, right? Like something like that. Or
I
like he
know
was
that.
on stage with like a loincloth or something like that. That was
Yeah,
just like
yeah. No, I was gonna say.
I'm not sitting through a
I'm pretty
battle
sure
with
he was
Dave
like
fucking
taking his
you
clothes off
know
like while someone battled or some. And I know there was like battle where he was like just showing up in costumes and like, or when he battled.
the costumes I didn't mind. Like when he did, I think what was it that he did? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he did. I remember
When he
against
was Jesus Christ, I thought that was dope.
when he battled QP, he had like a smaller. I don't know what the fuck. He had like this trash like bin thing with like QP in it, and he was like rapping, and it was like this big weird Halloween costume thing, and I was like, what the fuck's happening? Like, I had no clue what was going on like that whole fucking time. I was like, why is he dressed like? You know what I'm saying? Like,
antics. And that's what the thing is with all this shit, right? It's like, yo, it's just like preference and shit,
I
you know?
remember
Like
also
one person's antics, like you'll like be like, yo, I love that shit. And then the next person's antics, you're like, that shit gets on my goddamn nerves. I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
why he
yeah.
did that.
I remember one of the funniest things, and it was kind of fucked up because like I'm cool with Roan and shit, but like when he battled Roan and Rowan was gonna try to like do the antic to him and he was dressed up as like Abraham Lincoln. And then when it was time for Daylight to rap, he said, hold up. And he like walked off stage and didn't come back. Like he just left the venue. Like it just like, and it was funny because he left the road standing there dressed as Abraham Lincoln by himself. And it's just like in itself, the situation is just funny and ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yo, Day, man. Day
yeah,
is
that was
he
kind of like fucking hilarious to me. Especially
Day is one of those special ones that comes along, right? Like
yeah.
he kind of matrix the fuck out of the whole like battle rap, like,
and he's so good at writing that you like forget all that bullshit half the time too. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Which is like,
That's why I'm like, I don't care about his antics. I'm like, he still was like
if he shows
murdering
up,
shit.
like you're like, oh, tight. Like it's almost like you get a treat now too. You're like, oh, he's rapping
Yeah,
today.
exactly.
Fuck yeah! Like it's like,
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, so he's not just gonna do some crazy shit. Pretty fucking awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
let's go. I'm in. I'm all in.
He's yeah, dude. See what I mean? He's like a fucking magic show all in one, dude. Like
And
that.
he his marketing was crazy because he got his name in like circles that is just like,
Yeah,
you
like
know what I mean? Like
he's like
ending
fucking
up on Vlad TV and all the Diddy gay shit and the fucking I wrote Charged Up remix for Drake and
yeah,
just
yeah,
like all this shit that is just like, bro, like it just looks good. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like peripherally, like I remember like there being websites like hip hop websites dropping
Like
Daylight's version
daylight
of Charged
articles and
Up.
shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Daylight version of Charged Up, like Drake remixes Charged Up with Daylight. And I'm just like, yo,
Yeah.
I think that was Daylight that remixed Drake shit, but awesome,
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Like, yo, say that
Not
10 more
anymore. Yeah,
times.
it's fucking
You know?
like just
And then because media is so like copy and paste nowadays, 10 more people did say that shit. And it was
yeah,
just like
exactly. Yeah.
this is incredible, yo. Like
He just like made it true. Like it didn't matter if it
yeah,
was.
he made a bunch of things true that was just like, yo, like that is some one of them like big motivational coaches level, you know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah. He's like just
that's some
manifesting, like whatever the fuck he wants.
manifesting left and right and shit, you know. Yo, it's getting late, yo.
Hell
I
yeah.
think we covered just about everything, right? Like I
Yeah, man,
mean,
we started at the childhood and we ended up in my last battle. So I think my life was covered today for sure.
right. I always tell the homies, I'm like, yo, this is like, yo, your life story slash uh this your life story, like it is your what do you call it? This is your movie like
My autobiography, fucking the
this is
fucking
either your pitch to Hollywood for your own movie or like your, you know, pitch to like one of them like media houses for like your own book and shit. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like
No,
slash
dude,
your
I
life
was gonna
slash your life story.
this interview, you've probably gotten like the most like personal shit like I've ever even had in the interview because I don't really do interviews that much to be honest with you like but I hella like I said I hella fuck with like you're like an interesting dude and I know you're like very knowledgeable on shit you know what I'm saying like so
Nah,
I knew like talking to you would be pretty easy and like you knew you know what I'm saying like
yeah, no, I mean, I've been doing this for a little while, but also like I do look at it like a little bit like, yo, like with Nori and Drink Champs, the reason that it works is because like Nori knows, like when Cameron is sitting down with Angie Martinez, she's gonna get a different person out of him than Nori's gonna get because
yeah exactly yeah
Nori's the guy that's like, yo, I was there with you at that show. We were
exactly
both
yeah
backstage and we were both fucked up. And remember when like I left the venue, like, yeah, I took the money from the promoter. That's why you ended up fucking him up. And it was like, oh my God. It's just like because you can
yeah exactly
like like not only like do I rap and perform and shit, but like I've battle rap and like I understand. Like I
yeah you
might
were
not have
there
ever
like you
gotten
were
to
there
the
when I was there yeah
I might not have gotten to the level, but like I absolutely understand, fully 100% completely understand all the
But
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
but you were
And
still
that's
like a
why
pivotal part of like the grind time East Coast. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, I was a part
I
of the team. I was
distinctively remember you from that shit. Like, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, no, I was definitely part of the team. I definitely made like battles happen. I made sure that, you know, like there was things that I made sure of the things that I'm just like, yo, everybody's killing us online about the creaking stages, or like everybody's killing us online on rap music about the people talking in the background. So like after like we'd fucking be like, it's on you. I'd like leave. Sometimes I'd like leave the stage, go all the way to where the bar is or near the back, and I'd like literally like tell the homies like,
yeah, like, shut them up.
like, yo, come on, bro, please respect the fucking battle, please. You know what I
You're
mean?
like
It's gonna
doing
come out in the
damage
footage.
control for the
Dude,
betterment of the country.
things that I'm just like,
yeah.
those are the things that I take pride on. Like, is like, yo, that, you know what I mean? Like doing the things that really needed to be done. So like, yeah, nah, absolutely. But like, but really, it's from a like, like I understand from doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like, I not only do I understand, but like, yo, I super have a lot of appreciation for like the level that like you have taken it to from like all the way back then. Like you're on the first ever. I don't know if you've seen that shit floating around online again when GTX came back, but that old fucking grind time division of the fucking divisions and the tiers of like who was top tier, and like when grind time first started,
yeah.
that little fucking chart that had like
When they
everybody.
had like there was gonna be a champion and shit like that.
Yeah, well, there was gonna be a champion and shit.
Yeah.
Like you were on that shit, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And like, what tier were you on that shit?
I was like I think I was
Mid-tier?
like mid tier, or like I was like upper mid tier, I'm pretty sure, something mid tier, something like that. You know what I mean? I was
Right.
like, yeah, because at that point
So
too,
like,
it was like basically I remember there was the tiers, and what I had beaten Tantrum, so I was up a tier, and then I beat Subverse and went up a tier, cause like that, and then that's when I battled Diz, and at that point I was like in contention for top tier, but like I lost, quote unquote, so I was like upper mid tier, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
right.
However they did it, I don't fucking know.
The right, but the point is like to stay from then till now, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Active and like progressively get better and better and better and better. You know what I'm saying? Like you made a super fan out of me. I'm pretty sure you've made super fan out of wild people. You keep making fans out of people because of the consistency and the quality of the work. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And like that's something like to be applauded. You know what I'm saying? So like I
Yeah,
just
I
want you to know,
appreciate that too, because
yeah, I've been seeing it. I mean, and like I said, also like it isn't even just me. Like at this point, I literally have heard from people that like I know are peripherally into battle rap that I would not ever expect them to know your name, saying
yeah,
your name. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that's like one of those like great indicators of like, yo, that the brand is spreading, the name is spreading, and shit like that does not happen from like, you being mediocre or not giving it your all.
yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly,
saying?
yeah.
So
That's
like, yo,
I'm planning on just like trying to keep just like sharpening the fucking blade and progressing as much as I can. You know what I mean? Like that's like the plan from now. Just trying to get better with each battle, or see how far I can take it at least. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Yeah. So that's the plan. Just keep making bangers too. I'll always make music, whether I battle or not. I'll always be making songs and shit. So
work. Yeah, nah, definitely keep on going. You've made a fan out of me. I got wild respect for everything that you're doing. Um, uh, Shout out your socials for people. You know what I mean? Here in the future. You know what I'm saying?
I'm on Instagram Reverse Live, Twitter Reverse Live. You go on. I'm Cody Sepulveda on Facebook, but I like that's more just like to bring it back to the beginning. But that's more of like my Facebook. I don't really like do too much music shit. I kind of just talk shit on Facebook. But like, yeah, if you're like if you're trying to peep my music and shit, Reverse Live, all platforms, Death Dealers Anonymous, all platforms, Gold Shards, all platforms, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, just check that shit out. And I got a lot of music, a lot of battles out there, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Word. You got a lot of fucking content out there.
Yeah.
For real.
It's like
That's
12 years of like just putting shit on the internet. So yeah, it's accumulated.
Nah, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I'm on project 17 now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
That's like, yo, we're starting
That
to reach these
that's a
years, and
yeah,
like
that's a fucking good amount. Yeah,
we put in a lot of work throughout these years. You know what I'm saying?
definitely.
Like
Yeah,
this shit isn't like, like, oh, a hobby, or like, nah, this is what the passion is. You know what I'm
yeah, and
saying?
just like what you fucking care about and shit. And I, dude, like
Exactly.
I said, that was like one of the reasons I was like hyped to do this shit because I could tell like you give a fuck about like the same things I give a fuck about. You know what I'm saying? Like you, because
Nah,
like I
absolutely.
could tell by the way you like talk about shit on the internet and stuff. Like you aren't just always talking shit like more like some people might think, but like you just give a fuck about what you get, like what you give a
Yeah.
fuck about. You know what I mean?
I'm a passionate person,
Yeah,
that's for
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yo, thank you everybody who stayed tuned with us the entire time. Thank you to anybody who tuned in at any point. Thank you to the people who will tune in the future. Thank you to everybody who's gonna end up tuning in. eodub.com, Perspectives Podcast, signing out. Everybody, thank you for being here. Have a good night. God
Yo,
bless. Why
later.
did I say God bless? I don't even believe in God.